little behind, but we are going to do some candidate walk and talk here, and we are going to introduce you guys to different candidates, and I'm going to show you. That's a pretty good turnout for a little community, for a small southern, rural, southeast Minnesota. So we will see how it goes, and we're gonna.
I'm good.
I don't know. I'm the oddball libertarian in a room full of varied types of GOPs, from hardcore MAGA to never Trumpers to everything else, and a lot of governor candidates here tonight, and supposedly supposed to be a couple of, at least one senatorial candidate here. Royce White's supposed to show up, so Adam Schwarzy's got a representative down here handing out lit. So I'm going to see if I can show you guys the room. So the room's filling up. There's a lot of people.
Thank God it's not cold.
There's a lot of people lining up outside waiting to come in. So yeah, let's see how this goes. We'll see if we can find a
big lines.
keep candidate.
It's funny. It's here when it's 40 degrees. It's like warm.
Excuse me, Barry. Hey, Brad.
Hey, dude. Jim, how you doing?
Sure, and then he gets on the phone.
1 second. I'll ask Libby what Bill eats.
This is Brad.
Hey,
You
real
guys.
quick, Tom's with me. What building did Connor move into?
This is he was on the show right after Defend the Guard. Had him on to talk about his candidate. He's been running. His candidacy's been going on for quite a while. He's probably one of the front runners for.
What building did Connor move into? Tom's with me. Just asking.
So he's got his.
Yeah, but what number? 9700 or?
We'll have him introduce himself when he's off the phone. We got Lindell's supposed to be here. Hello, guy.
Yeah. Hey.
Hey.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, good to you.
How you been?
Not too bad.
Good.
How was your drive down?
Nice.
Yeah.
Tom or Steve drove the whole time. So. Yeah. So.
Well, we're gonna get this out of the way because I'm gonna try and hit all the candidates when they're stationary.
Yeah.
It's not very often I have to adjust camera for. I forgot that you're not as tall as a couple of these guys.
You believe that?
He's gonna punch.
I can take you down, man.
You got to catch me for no. No, it's good to see you, Brad. For the people who don't know who you are, introduce yourself and tell them what you're doing and why you're doing
Can
it.
you hear me okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thanks. Brad Kohler, candidate for governor. Started last December of 24 running. I former UFC fighter and a businessman, author, inventor, and kind of gave up what my passions were in life to dive into what God had given me, the new path to jump into, which is running for governor. I bring a different type of approach to government, which creates more revenue streams instead of taxpayers just getting robbed all the time. And I think I have a nice common sense agenda that I want to bring to the table. Yeah.
Well, you know that I'm predominantly libertarian in my leanings,
Yeah.
and so you made a statement just now that said so taxpayers aren't getting robbed all the time. So that definitely appeals to the libertarian base.
Sure.
And you and I, when you were on the show, we talked a little bit about the reality that for the Republican candidates this year, especially in this midterm, to have any success, they're going to have to appeal to the libertarian base. They're going to have to appeal to the.
Well, I agree with you. I honestly don't think that either party should run this state. I think that a stronger conservative that is more independent and not really endorsed by the party is someone who I think is stronger than an endorsed candidate, because you get these party line candidates here, they have their agenda, and then they're, I come with no PAC money, you can't buy and sell me, and so frankly, I think that it's time that we either look for the third party, or we get a candidate that maybe under one of the banners, but is more in the middle towards whether it's libertarian or independent. Yeah, and the thought's been there in my head, because I feel that our Republican Party has too many problems.
Yeah, that's really fair. So, if everybody wants to find you, you're on social media. You got a website yet, or?
Oh, I've had my website for 5 years. BradKohler.com.
I'm playing to the crowd, Brad.
BradKohler.com, man. And I'm on social media. I do respond to everybody. If you do want one-on-one with me, I promise you, I'll get back to you. You can pick my brain. Just don't pick my hair. I like my hair the way it is.
Somebody has already made a shiny head comment.
Yeah.
So.
But please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to talk to you. And we're looking to grow our campaign. I certainly would like to get more captains. We're 80 captains statewide right now, and we're growing more and more every day. You can find me on TikTok, usually every Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. Thank you.
Thanks, Brad. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're going to be here for the whole event, or?
Until Liz speaks. I'll probably duck out after when she starts talking.
Probably heard that speech already.
So many times. Yeah.
So, well, I'm going to go see if anybody else is.
Yeah, great to see you down here, man.
Well, I live only 45 miles away.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, this is my stomping grounds, and the couple of the GOP organizers invited me to come over, and I was like, really? And I guess so. So we got Phil. So we'll go catch Phil.
There he is.
Hey, Phil. I'm TC. I am Libertarian Independent Commentary.
Libertarian Independent Commentary
kind of guy, and so I'm given, as the candidates have time, I was invited specifically because of the crowd that I run in, and I know quite a few of the GOP people here, and
everything cool?
First, if you would, Phil, introduce yourself to the crowd, the people watching, who are going to watch later, and then I ask a couple of quick questions, and then let you get back to schmoozing.
Okay.
Not that politicians schmooze. But go ahead.
I'm Phil Parrish. I'm running for governor. I'm born and raised here in Minnesota. I started out being a teacher. As I was getting my principal's license, I joined the Navy Reserve. I'm an intelligence specialist at that point, and my military career after 9/11 kind of took over my life, and I ended up overseas on active duty for 11 years. I'm now a retired lieutenant commander in the U.S. Navy, and I'm one of the original whistleblowers of daycare fraud here in Minnesota. So in 2017, when I came back from active duty orders, that led to me trying to talk to people about how bad things were. And fast forward, here we are today, still talking about the same thing and trying to get people to listen.
It's not always easy. No.
And people didn't have the appetite for hearing the whole truth in 2018. The good news is now the appetite for hearing the truth is much better, and that's a good thing. But we still have a long ways to go because there's a lot going on that people haven't learned about yet.
So my contention and the contention of a pretty big chunk of even the GOP, but definitely of the more center-right, paleo-libertarian, Mises libertarian types, is that the GOP in a statewide election this go-around, they have to appeal to a much broader base than they ever have before. And part of that broad base is going to be appealing to libertarian people who are not, the Libertarians aren't running a governor candidate this year. They've got a couple of statewide races, but what is the Parrish campaign's approach to appealing to the Libertarian base?
My conduct and behavior over the last 8 years, especially 9 years, Libertarians that are personal friends of mine can trust that I have a very constitutional republic base in my thinking and reasoning. And like last night's question, what is my opinion of the constitutional carry movement. I'm a constitutional Republican, and we are a constitutional republic, and that leans more heavily on the libertarian bent or the libertarian mindset. So the Magna Carta started all this, and
It did, yes.
if people would take the time to understand the Magna Carta and our Constitution, they would see very clearly that libertarians and genuine Republicans are more similar than not.
Sure. There's a movement in the state of Minnesota, well, actually in pretty much all 50 states right now. It's on the forefront of that movement are the libertarians in particular and the anti-interventionist move within the Republican Party, and that movement is the Defend the Guard legislation that's going around. If you were to be elected governor, would you support the Defend the Guard legislation that would require, before Minnesota National Guard troops be deployed to a war zone, that Congress at the federal level do its job and actually declare war for once in 80 plus years?
Yeah, I would sign that it has to go to Congress first. I would also, though, discuss with everyone and get on to the public's radar how our manning for the military is being calculated. So there's a reason why some of this has happened that few, if any, are talking about in the public. What is the true number of military manning and the planning and statistical planning of military reserves, active duty, the total force, encompassing the total force
Between federal and state.
federal and state. So there's a piece of the puzzle that's a little more complex than what the legislation is talking about, and that's that total number of manning and covering all the bases. So there needs to be a bigger discussion about why they're calculating it that way and how they could calculate it differently.
Well, I appreciate your time. I will give you a card. I've been offering all the Republican candidates for governor the same opportunity for a long time. I'd love to have you on the show sometime and have an actual sit down. So
Perfect.
thanks, Phil.
Sounds good.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We probably lost half the candidates trying to figure out where Mabel is. Oh, there's Mike Lindell. Got Mike Lindell coming in.
Hi. Doing good. You can
Rick, we've met. You probably don't remember DC until the Black Hawk. Yeah, so we met a few times. So I think we were on. Was it Bella?
Yes.
We might have been on with Bella when Walt and I were.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I.
She's going back and forth between North Dakota and
Yeah.
here. And,
Haven't seen her since. So.
Yeah.
And you abandoned us.
No.
I thought you took off for parts west.
Well, when I did the interview, I was already in South Dakota.
Well, yeah, that's touche.
But now I've come back to help Mike.
Grab him before he gets inundated. Oh, never mind. Mike, I knew Mike would.
Somebody join your ticket. They used to do it at big conventions. She's around.
Sheila, did you lose Kendall already?
Well, I know he's in here somewhere.
Oh, there he is.
Shot of whiskey?
Yeah.
Wine cooler?
Yeah.
freedom from the there's a, your local
Everybody.
they're drawing. I grew up in the city. Speaking. Who's doing that?
You're fine. I'm watching.
I'm just trying to get around.
Where'd Pat go to? He's making the rounds. Yeah, I do. Trying to get all the governor candidates. So, where's? Oh gosh, there's people over there too. I didn't realize that. I'm pretty sure Secretary of State's a pretty. Well, you tell us why it's important. Go ahead and introduce yourself. No? He's like, no, I don't want to talk for Tad. Tad, if you want to, you can stand back there where it's safe. I was going to try and talk to your cohort here, but he's like, no, let me get Tad.
Okay.
Well, in a room like this, the competition's not safe.
For the party or blog?
I was invited by the party as a libertarian representative for Southeast Minnesota because I am a paleo-libertarian, so I'm a kind of a Ludwig von Mises style libertarian, and I have a decent-sized show here in Minnesota, and I know quite a few of the GOP people in the region, actually across the state.
What's your name?
I'm TC.
TC.
Yeah, I'll give you my card. Tell us a little bit about who you are and why you're running for Secretary of State.
I'm Tad Jude. I'm running to secure the vote and trust the vote. Running for Secretary of State. And I'm asking people for their vote, of course. But we want to make sure that when they go vote, that it's an honest vote, it's an accurate vote, and it's counted fairly.
Yes, this is the best one.
We've had the same Secretary of State for 12 years. I think the current Secretary of State is out of touch. He's out of touch with the average voter, the mainstream voter in Minnesota. And that's why I'm running for Secretary of State. You need to have photo ID to go vote. Have an address on the record when you go vote. Make sure that we have on election day. This whole election season, I think, is a little bit too long. But basically, and if you're running a business, as a fraudulent business, we're going to yank your license. And that's one of the issues in Minnesota.
Big issue in Minnesota is elections, and you've touched on elections a little bit. But as important as elections are, would you, as Secretary of State, be in favor of seeing reform to third-party access to the ballot? So instead of having to jump through massive hoops like every third party does in Minnesota, like right now, and you know this, to get on the ballot, all you have to do is go in and say, I'm a Republican or I'm a Democrat, and you just get on the ballot. You don't have to prove. You don't have to get signatures. You don't have to petition. You don't have to do anything. You just get on the ballot. Would you be willing to look at supporting legislation that makes it easier for independents, the Constitution Party, the Green Party, the Libertarian Party, easier for them to get on the ballot the same way the Democrats and the Republicans do?
I'd like to look at allowing a more open system in that respect. We could look at that. One of the things that Minnesota used to have is we used to have a legislature that was nonpartisan. It weren't running as a Democrat or a Republican. And it seemed like you could reach agreements more easily in the legislature when you didn't have that partisan aspect. And I think Minnesota has had a history of independence. I mean, looking at Governor Jesse Ventura, that was a very independent move by the voters of Minnesota. And I think that's been our history. I think I got it. Our history has been one where you have an independent streak. So I'd like to see that recognized in our election process.
Very good. So I'll make the offer for you that I do for every candidate, Republican, Democrat, Libertarians. I'm going to give you my card, and as the election season goes on, I'd like to have you actually on the show for a sit down where we can do it all remote. So
fantastic.
So I appreciate your time. Thank you. And I lost Pat again.
Okay, it's right there.
Oh,
You stopped for an interview. You just didn't know how long you were going to take.
I'm trying to not take up too much time for the candidates. So
Yeah, he's trying to talk about it.
yeah. Oh, I totally understand. They're more important than I am. I'm just one guy. Is that Lindell all the way over there?
Right here.
Oh, he's
Yeah,
right,
that's
right.
16.
Oh, he's right here. All right, guys, we're going to try and have a conversation with Chris here when he finishes up. As you can see, the room is filling up, and it sounds like a school cafeteria in here. Jude? Oh yeah, I'm just. You talk. I'm just standing here waiting. I didn't hear you. I'm just waiting for Chris. So.
January 1st, 1980. I retired when I was 50. I'm 58. I had a business on the side that I worked 4 years ago. I do domestic
Standing right behind. Say hi, Gerald. Hey. You could just say hi, Gerald. That's how the joke goes. Hi, Gerald.
Are we live here?
Yeah, we're live and we're recording. So
Okay.
that way, if this flakes out, but this guy's important too. This guy's important too. He just hasn't said hi yet. Yeah, TC. I'm so disappointed you didn't recognize me. It's been a while. Yeah, I do. It's true. Chris, I won't take up too much of your time, but this fella right here made a point of calling me like 3 weeks ago. Personally.
Dude's tough.
That's not why he calls me. He calls me because he knows I'm not going to put up with his I've known him
I'm
for a
watching.
while now.
I'll leave you alone.
I've known him for a while now, but he called me, sent me a text, said, hey, when you're free. And so I made time for him. I'm TC.
TC, nice to meet you.
I'm the host, founder, originator of MBRR Media. So I'm an independent Miesian, Ludwig von Mises, libertarian, right-leaning, formerly very active in the GOP here in southeast Minnesota. I was actually vice chair of the Fillmore County Republican Party for some time.
Cool.
So
You live around here?
I live about 45 miles from here. So, but I have a pretty decent-sized following here in Minnesota, and Duke's known me since 2020 when all of the COVID stuff was going on. And so he reaches out and he goes, I want you to get to know Chris and have him on the show. So I thought before we even had you on the show, did I give you a card yet?
No.
Before we even had you on the show, and I'm doing this offer for everybody that's running for governor and statewide offices. I thought, hey, let's do a spot on scene so people can see you're actually a human being out here moving around in and amongst the audience. So tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what made you decide to run, because you're one of the most recent entrants into the race.
6 weeks. Yep. So, born and raised in Waseca, and now living in western suburbs of Twin Cities. Got a wife and 2 daughters, 14 and 16. 16-year-old just started driving about 2 weeks ago, so we're a little freaked out.
Yeah, how's the hair feeling?
You know, she's actually a fantastic driver. It's I think, you know, in terms of my...
You don't have to say nice things about her. She's never going to watch this.
I'm going to say, in terms of the freaked out level, my wife is about 3 times more than mine is, but, you know, but she's...
I'm going to clip that and put that up as a short.
You go right ahead. It's, you know, everything I'm saying is the truth. I'm not very good at being a politician, so I have a difficult time with that. So, but I really got into the race because, you know, we've been losing for 20 years. I kind of feel like we're in the middle of Einstein's definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. And
that would be the GOP for the last 20 years.
Yes, and I feel like we're losing what it means to be Minnesota. And I'm, you know, as born and raised in Waseca, I love the state. Came back to the state after law school. Couldn't imagine being anyplace else. I don't want to be anyplace else, and I really feel that we're on a very, very bad track. And I think that we need to come back.
I got a couple of quick questions for you, and these are both very libertarian questions. And one of the reasons that we ask these libertarian-based questions of candidates is, frankly, the GOP cannot win a race, a statewide race, without a libertarian base.
I agree.
You guys cannot win. I don't care who it is. Cannot win without.
I don't disagree.
And two of those topics would be, one, you're well known for your defense of Chris Lonergan.
Ryan.
Ryan.
That's right.
Mixing up names. You're well known for your defense.
Sorry if I'm getting out of your focus. I just don't want to get in the way of people here.
I are professional. You're well known for your defense of Ryan Lonergan. And at the same time, libertarians are very much about police reform, because there is definitely some reform that needs to happen within policing. Would you be willing, if you were to be elected to governor, would you be willing to sit down with both Republican and Libertarian voices who are saying, hey, it's time for us to start talking about some very, strong needs to reform law enforcement in the state of Minnesota as it relates to, like, say, constitutional training? Because they get use of force training, they get some mental health training, they get first responder training. But when you ask the average officer on the street, trooper, city cop, county, deputy, you ask them, how much do you know about constitutional case laws that applies to your job? The answer is none.
Well, and short answer, again, as a politician, I got to learn how to do this, but my short answer is yes. I literally sit down and talk to everybody. So my dad, when I was a kid, our first book that he gave all boys was Barry Goldwater's Conscience of a Conservative, which I feel is very strongly aligned with the libertarian view. I mean, Goldwater's thesis in that book was every time he looked at a bill, he asked himself one question: am I maximizing freedom? And if he couldn't answer that question in the positive, then he voted against the bill. I have slowly watched as a lawyer watched the erosion of this particularly, I'm very concerned about the Fourth Amendment in particular. And to me, the Fourth and the Sixth Amendment, right to counsel, really bother me. There's Supreme Court case law now saying that a helicopter hovering above your backyard around 500 feet is not a seizure of your home.
Right.
And there's another Supreme Court case saying that a plane flying to or about 5,000 overhead with a $20,000 camera that they took pictures of somebody's backyard, blew them up, and then used that without a warrant. I feel that those cases are wrongly decided, and I think that those are a violation of the individual right to privacy. So yes.
you're talking about even deeper expansions into like how are we defining open fields doctrine versus curtilage and things like that?
I really feel strongly that in terms of a person's defense of their home should be sacrosanct, and I feel that the slow intrusion on that onto our rights. And again, it never happens quickly.
Never.
It's chipped away like a wood chipper, and it just keeps kind of going down. And I feel strongly that those are sorts of things that I think we just kind of give up the idea of our rights. We think about our taxes. To me, it's not just a tax; it's a loss of freedom. And that, to me, I think we've kind of lost sight of that in a lot of different ways.
And then the other one, and I'll ask this relatively quick so you can get back to rubbing elbows with the important people. And then
You're
we'll
not
talk.
important? You're not important.
Oh, not as important as these people.
I got it.
I'm important. Well, no matter how you answer that question, it's the wrong answer.
That's true.
Very, very political.
Thank you. Well, I am a lawyer.
Touche, sir. The other one that's really big in the hearts and minds of a lot of people, even people that have been lifelong Republicans right now, is a move and a shift. And although on the surface it will not sound like a state-level question, it actually is. There's a move and a shift away from interventionism across the globe in the United States. And one of the moves that's been taken to combat interventionism, this idea of American imperialism, is legislation in the form of the Defend the Guard legislation, which I don't know if you're familiar with, is making its way through almost all 50 states right now that would, when passing the law in each state, would require the governor, before he allows National Guard troops to be deployed into a combat zone, that Congress does its job for the first time in over 80 years and actually declare war. And we've got multiple candidates for governor now who have signed off on that and said, you know what, it's worth taking a look at. And yeah, I would consider signing that legislation.
I have not, to be honest, again, I don't know the legislation and what I would want to read it. I am aware of the Perpich case in the U.S. Supreme Court.
Perpich has already been taken into consideration in this legislation.
Got it. All right. And that, but that is based on the Supremacy Clause and other provisions of the Constitution. But but I honestly am interested in that. My main concerns is just, again, with federal comedy. I don't like the idea of California being able to say no and other states then being compelled to say yes, from an 18-year-old being taken from Alabama but not from California. So there's a national comedy thing that I would say that, but I'd honestly be interested.
Which is why we're pushing it so hard in all 50 states.
I agree.
And it is gaining traction. Yep. I gave you a card.
Yes.
I don't know who your media person is. Is it
that tall guy over there, Thomas Connect?
If he wants to reach out, and we could schedule a time for you to come on, and we'll actually do a sit down. You don't have to travel. We can do it all remotely.
Oh, sweet.
So
it's great
thank
to
you
meet
for your time, and
thank you.
I appreciate it.
I got you. Thank you.
Yeah, you better.
Any newspaper outside of the farmer's community is friend of mine.
Careful! You got a newspaper right here. Jason, right? Yeah. Mike, I'm a first name guy, so I don't do with. I'm TC. I'm the host, founder of MBR Armed Media, and I wanted to give. I'm giving all the governor candidates a chance to have kind of a spot tonight, and then I also am giving my card. this guy will vouch for me a little bit if he gets off his. Because, yeah.
He doesn't even know. Yeah, I agree.
I remember his voice.
So if you could, not that you need any introduction right now, but if you could give people watching live and as we're recording, tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what made you decide to run for governor in Minnesota this year, and then if we get a chance, we'll do a sit down. I know you're busy, but we'll do a sit down.
Yeah, I'm Mike Lindell. I've lived in Minnesota all my life. I have quite a story of the American dream, going from a functioning addict to then a terrible crack cocaine addict to building one of the biggest companies. God set me free of all that. I'm a born-again Christian, and building this huge company. Everybody knows about My Pillow. I had never voted in my life, and up until the point I was invited by Donald Trump to meet him in the summer of 2016. And boy, I had to learn real quick what politics were. And I didn't think politics mattered.
Talk about baptism by fire.
I didn't know what politics mattered, and I didn't think they did. Well, I had to learn everything about them, and now they know everything comes from politics. They can, all the decisions that are made affect us like nothing else. And then I got real involved very publicly after the 2020 election because I wanted to secure our elections, get to paper ballots hand counted. I set up a team of over 300,000 people in all 50 states. We went after that, and then I was the most attacked company in person outside of the president, probably in history.
Yeah, you had a little bit of a run-in a couple of years ago.
Yeah, oh yeah, they went. It's still going on. Keith Ellison, the Attorney General here in Minnesota, comes after me all the time, trying to shut down my Christian Foundation. I'm still in a battle with call it the deep state, call it Democrats, call it whatever you want. But and then I decided this summer, in August, I decided, you know what? This has to change. All these horrible things going on here. They're not the Minnesota I grew up with. And I decided that with My Pillow, if I could get that stable, then I would run. And it got stable around Thanksgiving. And my wife and I prayed about it. And I told the president 3 days before I ran, I called him up, we're becoming great friends, and I said I'm gonna run. I didn't want his, I didn't call him up and say I'll run if you endorse me. I just said I'm gonna run. I wanted him to know, and I wanted everyone in Minnesota to know I'm 100% all in. When I go all in, I never give up. I never stop. I will win, and I want to change things. And then that was on December 11th, and then we all know what's happened over the past month, all the fraud that's been exposed. And I look at that as one of the biggest blessings we've ever seen, because a lot of it we all knew was going on, and now the whole country knows, the world knows.
One of the things that I've been talking to all the candidates about so far tonight is their support of some legislation that's moving through all 50 states right now, and that is what's called the Defend the Guard bill. And what the Defend the Guard bill is dedicated to is protecting each sovereign state's National Guard troops, so that before they can be deployed to a war zone, the governor of the state has to see Congress actually vote to declare war on whatever country it is we're trying to be involved with. And that hasn't happened once since the end of World War II. Over 82 years now, we have been deploying forces around the country or around the world into combat zones, into conflict zones without a declaration of war. And this is getting like multi-partisan support from Republicans, like anti-interventionist Republicans at the state level. If that bill were to pass through the Senate and the House and you're elected governor, would you have conversations with people about why that legislation is important? Would you contemplate signing that?
I'd have to really look into that. From what you just explained, are you saying that that would stop, that we'd have to have before? Are you saying before a president can make a decision?
Nope. That before a National Guard unit can be deployed into a conflict zone, Congress has to do its job and declare war.
Okay, so I just look at that. Sounds common sense.
No, I know, I'm springing it on you. That's what I'm good at.
It sounds like common sense, right? I mean, that would be common sense, and I would say yes if it can be done fast. If you need them there, and if it's a time thing, I think you got to look at more than just if it's going to take a month and this needs them right now, what are you going to do?
Right,
I think there would be
which is why it pertains to National Guard.
I would have to look at I'm very good at looking at something and coming out with a common sense answer, and so that's what I would do. But right now, by what you're telling me, the only thing I can logically see right away, well, what if it takes 2 months for them to decide over here? Then, you know what I mean? There's different things that could come up, and I think you'd have to look at every situation and then make a decision to agree with it or not.
Yeah, no, not asking you to say that you know the legislation, but it's one of those things. Would you look at it? Would you be willing to look at even going into the election?
I'm going to look at everything. You talk about as a governor, the governor we have, either he was totally neglecting or totally incompetent that he didn't look at things, or he was in on it when you talk about fraud and stuff. And I, as a CEO, I look at every single thing, and one of the big things I'm going to talk about tonight, with the fraud programs we have in welfare, all our welfare programs, it's not just getting the fraud out. You get the fraud out, we know that's okay, that could be probably easy to do if we put everybody in prison, but then we got to look at these programs to see if they even make sense in the first place, and you need to fix them. You can't be dependent programs, they have to end. I have a great thing I've been working on for 8 years that will replace them using private sector money with government funds. We tested it, and I tested it in Detroit. This is 8 years ago. It brings bring it down about 40% savings over what you would normally pay on welfare programs because you're involved in the private sector. You combine that with fraud, you got all this excess money. You know what you do then? You lower taxes.
I was very active in the Republican Party here. I was co-vice chair of the Fillmore County Republican Party for some time, and I'm now a paleo-libertarian, so a Ludwig von Mises, Austrian economics type libertarian. And one of the things that the libertarian and the independent libertarians are trying to remind everybody is that in a statewide race this year, especially being Minnesota, there's not a chance a Republican can win without us. So I would, I look forward to being able to have you sit down and have that conversation.
I would love to sit down with you and talk about it, because
I don't want to keep you from any more of your people.
I believe you. I'm fine. I believe you have to get everybody united here. I don't care if libertarians, independents. I'm going after even the Democrats to flip them, and I've done it before. I did it. I helped in the 2024 election in the inner city of Chicago, and we had Democrats there that were going to vote for Donald Trump, and they didn't even like him. But we asked them why, and the stuff that came out of their mouth is very powerful. You want to convince a Democrat to flip, you have another Democrat tell them why they're flipping. Very
there you
powerful.
go. Yeah, it's kind of like getting a Republican to flip. It's harder.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate your time. So
right.
I gave you my card, correct?
Right. Yep, you gave me your card.
I'll give one to him too.
Yeah, give one to Rick. And I'll be available tonight if you want to do a sit down or some other time.
We'll schedule it for a weekend or something. Jeff?
Yes, sir. I do them all.
You're next.
He does them all the time.
I'm TC.
TC?
Yeah.
Nice
So,
to meet you.
MBRR Media. Yeah, you're going to talk to this. You're going to talk to me, but you're going to talk to the audience, and we're recording as well. So,
You want me on the other side of the table?
no, you stay right. If this is safer, I scare easy, so I tend to get a little on. So, tell us who you are and what you're doing. I am afraid of it. He's got to catch me first.
My name is Jeff Johnson, and I'm running for governor. And no, I am not the 2018 candidate, Jeff Johnson.
It's another one.
That was a Hennepin County commissioner. So some folks get that confused.
Oh, are you in on the fraud?
I live in St. Cloud, Minnesota. I'm the St. Cloud City Council from 2010 to 2018. And I was the council member that put forward the refugee resettlement moratorium. That was fall 2017. Because the social services was violating federal law. It became a big deal in St. Cloud. So that's kind of where I got my mark, so to speak, was that moratorium in 2017.
So what made you decide to really throw your hat in the ring? Because I mean, as you can see, this isn't even half the ring.
Right.
There's 14 of y'all this year so far. So That's an uphill. That's like salmon. That's what that is.
Oh, it is. I like to say this. It's a Mount Everest climb. I got in the race last March. There was not a whole lot of folks in the race back then. But, as you know, as time goes on, more people got in the race. You see people, more you get probably, more get out. Why did I run? Real simple. I'm a man of faith. Holy Spirit said, you're going to run. I said, fine, I'll run. He said, you're going to win. He said, I want you to run because you have something to offer.
I asked Mike and others the same question. There's a big movement within even the Republican Party of people who are becoming not isolationists but anti-interventionists, that we're kind of tired of sending our troops overseas. Minnesota has a record for the longest deployment, twice now, of National Guard troops. One in World War II, and then now in the global war on terror, which means we've lost a lot of National Guard troops to combat. And then the follow-on of the 22 a day afterwards from what they've been through.
Yes.
There's a big move to support what's called Defend the Guard legislation that would require, before the governor signs off on National Guard troops being deployed, that Congress actually has to declare war, which it hasn't done since the end of World War II. If that legislation were to come across your desk, would you commit to understanding that legislation?
Oh, absolutely.
And exploring it and seeing that it's got multi-partisan support. Not just Democrats, not just Republicans, not just socialists. There are like libertarians and everything. Are like all of the sponsors in the House and the Senate in the state of Minnesota right now are predominantly Republicans.
Absolutely. As you know, we can't police the whole world. We just can't. And I think if we continue this trajectory long term, it's going to affect recruitment even more and more. There's more folks who are saying, why would I join the Guard? Especially in Minnesota. If Minnesota's the state where we're just going all the time.
Right.
I think it's a very legitimate issue. Absolutely.
I'm going to let noisy in this corner. I give you my card. I don't know if you have a media guy or a campaign manager.
Sure do.
If you would have him reach out to me, and we'll see if we can schedule you for an actual sit down, not in a studio somewhere, but remotely from your desk to my desk.
I can do
and
that.
I'd love to. I give everybody the same opportunity. So
where do you live?
I live in Spring Valley, so about 45 miles from here.
Yeah, I used to live in Winona. So I live in St. Cloud, so yeah, I can. Whether it's
the thing that I'm telling everybody, and I said this again to Mike and everyone else, the Republicans cannot win a statewide race this year without the Libertarian base, without the Libertarian Party, without the independent Libertarians, without the independent Constitutionalists.
Oh, I agree. Absolutely.
So we'd love to have you on to talk about that. So.
100% agree with that.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Oh, no, thank you for yours. Thanks for tracking Tad down earlier.
Yeah. See what the non-state laws.
Well, Mr. Schultz, would you like to tell a predominantly center-right, paleo-libertarian audience why you want to be Attorney General?
Somebody has to do it, right?
Well, I hope there's more motivation than that.
There is more motivation than that.
You're good. You're just talking to me.
Okay, great. So you asked why I want to be Attorney General?
Yeah.
Well, I've been blessed with a great legal career. I tried a lot of big cases, won a lot of big cases, and I'm at a point in my life where I have options to do some other things. Look around and say, my God, this is an unbelievable mess. We've got massive fraud. We've got an Attorney General who is soft on crime, declared war on girls' sports. Minnesota deserves a lot better than that. And that's why I decided I was going to step in the arena and run for Attorney General.
What's your predominant experience as far as your legal practice? What kind of law did you
So I started my legal career in the United States Army JAG Corps. So I was.
Oh, we didn't like you guys.
Yeah. Oh, when
I was 82nd, so
okay.
we needed you, but we didn't like.
Well, I was a prosecutor, and you know what JAG is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's never mind. I won't make a JAG joke right now.
And then when I got out of the service, I went into private practice in the Twin Cities and worked at a large law firm in downtown Minneapolis. And from 2019 to 2024, I was the chairman of that law firm. It was a 200 8-office national law firm. Stepped down from that, and it was at that point that I started thinking about what I want to do next. And that led to ultimately the decision to run for Congress.
What do you think the biggest hurdle for anybody in the state of Minnesota that's running for Attorney General right now? What do you think the biggest hurdle you're going to have to jump is going to be, besides beating the DFL?
Trying to get our message out over the problems of a super left-leaning media. Okay, I mean, the challenge we have in getting our message out is the media won't report it. Okay, I mean, they've ignored the fraud, they've ignored everything else. Thank God for Liz Colin and Alpha News and the rest of the reporters. But getting the message out is a challenge.
I'll do what I give everybody that's running for statewide office the same opportunity. I'd love to have you sometime sit down and talk about your campaign. And you're going to have to win a very strong libertarian base. You cannot win in Minnesota, especially for this midterm, without the libertarians, the independent libertarians, the Constitutional Party, the independent party.
Every single vote we can get, and that's why I ask that question from time to time. We cannot.
Hello, everyone.
We can't be a party that says we don't.
We were going to start at
me
6:30, but we're going to give you an extra 5 minutes to get settled.
Anyway,
so
I'll reach out.
Reach out to me.
Thank you very much.
Can I get like a quick one-up with you, Pat? I appreciate that. Yeah. I've been trying to get to you, but you've been very popular tonight.
What are you recording for?
MBRR Media. So,
What's that?
independent libertarian outlet.
Oh,
So, yeah, I'm here on the invite of Gerald and Kate.
Should we get some crowd in the background?
This consummate politician already. Tell us, I'm TC.
TC Pat.
Nice to meet you. Here, I will adjust. You stay where you are.
Okay.
Why don't you tell us a little bit of who you are and why you're doing this?
Sure. Well, I'll tell you why first. I'm running because I don't like the direction the state's going, and it's heartbreaking seeing what's happening. And I was taught at an early age, if something isn't working, step up, raise your hand, do something about it. And that's why I got into the race. A little bit of background about myself. I grew up in Plymouth. Went to Wayzata High School. Served in the Marine Corps 20 years, active duty and reserves.
We'll forgive that.
Yeah.
82nd Airborne.
All right, hey, hoorah. All right. Hoo-yah, I should say. And
Don't say hoorah, we will fight.
Okay. And then spent the last 20 or so years in food manufacturing, mostly, or most recently as CEO of a 110-person food manufacturing company, which I left in November to join the race.
That's a sacrifice. Walk away from managing a...
Well, yeah, it took a lot of discussion. We've got 4 kids, 2 in college, 2 still in Minnesota public schools, but the time is now. I think the states, we got to win this in 2026 and get the state back on track. And I'm all about the fundamentals, which are sort of boring sometimes to talk about, but everything goes back to the fundamentals.
I'm going to give you my card too, because I want to give you a chance to actually do a sit down.
Okay.
You won't have to come to a studio. We'll do it all remotely. Yeah. I don't let people in my house.
Okay.
One of the things that I've been talking to all the candidates about, or actually 2 of the things are, one, I represent kind of the libertarian voice, especially in southeast Minnesota, but across the state, I also deal a lot with Republicans who are veterans who have become very much not isolationists but anti-interventionists.
Okay.
We're kind of tired of the wars.
Yeah.
We're tired of sending our National Guard troops to places like Syria. Iowa just had a great sacrifice and 2 of their National Guard troops killed in Syria. And there is a massive move and a massive amount of support growing in all 50 states, but especially here in Minnesota. We're coming up on our 4th or 5th year of a rally called Defend the Guard. And the Defend the Guard legislation is directed at the state level so that when passing the law, signed by the governor, before a governor can sign off on National Guard troops being deployed into a combat zone, Congress has to do its job for the first time in 82 years plus and actually declare war before sending off our blood and treasure to go fight somebody else's war for them, some regime change war, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Is that legislation you'd be willing to look at and consider and talk about as a means to really keep our troops where they belong in Minnesota, for Minnesotans, protecting Minnesotans, floods, fires, heaven forbid riots? Is that something that you would be willing to look at?
I'd be always willing to look at it. I think Jeremy Munson's involved in that.
He was.
Okay.
When he was in Congress. Yeah,
and he shared some thoughts with me about that, and he's pretty passionate about that.
He was definitely on board when he was in the House. Yeah.
I mean, it's something I would consider. I'm just not that knowledgeable about it. But one thing
That's why I brought it up.
Well, the one thing I would say is I think it's very important that the different branches stay in their lanes, at the federal level and at the state level, and then we respect federalism between the federal government and the state government. And where mischief occurs is when people bleed into each other's lanes. And so, just from a foundational perspective, I am on board with that. But always happy to try to learn and understand the issue.
Absolutely. Most people, when you bring it up, they're like, "What is it?" So, but I am asking to get that planted so that people, especially with the libertarian voice, it's going to be really hard for anybody at the state level to win without libertarian support, independent libertarians.
Is there a libertarian gubernatorial candidate?
No, and that's one of the reasons.
Not yet?
There won't be this year.
There's an independent.
There's an independent, but I can't remember which one.
Yeah.
But
Mike Holcomb, I think it is.
Might be, yeah. But the Libertarian Party itself is not running a candidate this year.
Okay.
And so, and even if they were, that would hurt the DFL a lot less than it would hurt the Republicans.
Okay, yeah. Because they're a little closer to the Republicans than the Democrats.
Yeah, the Libertarian Party is far more, they're Miesian, so they're far more of a conservative base, if you will, but not your traditional conservative ideas. So
get the government out of your life.
Yes, as much as like actual small government.
Yeah.
Not just like small government for everything, but the thing I like.
Yeah.
So, which is what you run into a lot with a lot of movement. I gave you my card.
Yeah.
I would love to have you on for a sit down sometime.
I'll shoot you. I'll give you one of my cards. I'll give you my.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're good here.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Well, I can't tell you that you're. I mean, nobody said anything bad about you now. So.
Where do I find your stuff?
You are a staffer? You feel out of place this far south?
No, I'm from Dover.
Oh, well, yeah, you're still pretty far south.
Yeah.
Thank you, really appreciate
to me.
Yeah, right.
Where are you out of?
Spring Island.
Okay. I used to beat him in football. I was like, great.
Who hasn't? I'm not a name.
I loved when Spring Valley was next up. I went to Dover.
I recognize you, and I was curious who you're with.
I about once every 4 years I write a really long opinion piece, and you guys publish it for me.
I don't remember what that would be.
I wrote one when the big kerfuffle was happening with the individual who made all of the disparaging comments on his property about the sexual nature of a city manager or something, and everybody was talking about why hasn't he been arrested. And I wrote an opinion piece, and you guys published it.
So what's your name?
Well, you would know me by TC Pearson. So I'm from Spring Valley. Yeah.
So do you do a video interview?
I do commentary, and I interview candidates. I interview various libertarians, Republicans, Democrats, and whatnot for my show. I have a series on my channel called Libertarian Lowdown, and I'm doing this as part of that. I'm here at the invite of two of the movers and shakers from this event, which is Kate and Gerald. And I'm here to represent the libertarian voice in the region and give the candidates an opportunity to talk to the libertarian base, because libertarians, without the independents, the independent libertarians, Libertarian Party and whatnot, the GOP doesn't stand a chance in the midterms this year. They need, at a statewide level, they need every vote they can get. And you've been in the area long enough to know it's tough for them to pull off. So.
Well, you got 9 counties against 78.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough pull when your population base is all centered in those 9 counties. So.
It's you kind of have to sway things in those 9 counties.
Yep, and that's where a lot of our people. That's where a lot of the libertarians are, is in those metro areas. So, far more of them in the metro area, believe it or not, than what you would see. I could go to the metro area and throw a rock and hit somebody that's libertarian. I throw a rock around here, and it's like all I'm hitting is like one-off Democrats and the Republicans.
Well, there used to be a libertarian group that met in Stumpers and Rushford years ago. But I don't know. Now it's not Stumpers anymore.
Yeah, I haven't been able to track any of them down, and like my voice is out there, and every once in a while I'll run into people, and they're like, "Hey, I watch your show. I'm a libertarian." I'm like, "Where are you from?" And they're like, "Grand Meadow," and I'm like, "How do I not know you?" You know, it's because I stay home. That's why. And I do this. So
it was nice meeting you.
Yeah, it was nice to. I've seen you out and about once in a while, but yeah, I tend to stay out of the editorial business too much until somebody writes something and it's just I'm like, no, people, this is not how we operate a republic. Yeah, what he said was ugly, but you don't throw people in jail for saying ugly things. That's not that's terrible.
Oh, that was the one in Canton.
Yeah,
that was when Brock Urchie was the city clerk.
Yeah, and the
guy went ahead.
He said some terrible stuff that he shouldn't have said, but everybody wanted him thrown in jail, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was really interesting because I had somebody from Lanesboro read that and immediately messaged me, and she goes, "That's terrible that you want," and she goes, "What do we?" And then she's like, "You know what? That actually makes sense." And I'm like, "All this from one opinion piece." And so if I only get one positive out of every opinion piece I write,
I get, if there's one you get, I get 100%. Because they always call me.
Call or send some email. Thanks, Jason.
Yeah. Have you got to meet Sheila Qualls?
No, I haven't.
You'd like to, wouldn't you? Sheila?
Up here with me.
You have time to meet this
I got.
Here, let me sneak by real quick.
He runs the Fillmore County Journal. It's a very good newspaper, has a very big area that he covers all over southern Minnesota.
Excuse me, Sheila. I will get on you.
Houston County. Everybody gets
Thanks, guys. Kendall.
Yes.
You probably don't remember when we met at one of the conventions. I'm going to do this real quick because he's going to start.
Yeah.
You want to introduce yourself real quick? Say who you are and why you're running for governor.
Yeah, Kendall Qualls, and where am I looking?
Just look at this.
Okay. Hey, I'm Kendall Qualls. I'm running for governor to help save our state. Not running against any of these other guys here, not even running against who the DFL leader is. We need to save our state because we're going to lose it if we don't win it this time around.
Thank you, Kendall. I will. I give every one of the people that I talk to a chance to come on.
Can I have your attention, please?
I really appreciate it. I've been trying to get to you, but you've been busier than a one-legged man in a butt kicking contest. So.
We're going to ask Ryan Dieters to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I am.
Those who can, please stand.
Oh, she was the one that she was talking about. Maybe I'm harmless.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. We're going to call on Emmon Gingrich for an invocation.
Expected trouble?
We're going to make sure there is no trouble.
Anybody that want to cause trouble would get lost trying to find Mabel.
That's kind of what I thought.
I live here and I can't even find. Oh, I didn't say that.
When Gary asked me to pray, some passages came to my mind that I thought I'd read to you tonight. And the last one was just a lady in the back just told me about. I'm going to read this to you. Keep on asking. Jesus said, keep on asking and you will receive what you ask for. Keep on seeking and you will find. Keep on knocking and the door will be open. For everyone who asks receives, and everyone who seeks finds. And to everyone who knocks, the door will be open. So we're going to keep asking. Another passage that came to my mind when Gary asked was a few days ago was in 2 Chronicles. Says, then if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, I will hear them. I will hear from heaven and I will forgive their sins and restore their land. And so, Lord Jesus, we repent on behalf of everyone in this country and this state tonight, especially this state, all the wickedness going on. We repent. I just know, Jesus, that I've seen even in my own life, when I repent of something else is loosed and freed. And so, Holy Spirit, I believe that when we repent, I just pray that this room full of people would truly be with me and wanting to repent on behalf of the entire state of Minnesota. And that you would loose your Holy Spirit over this state, and that freedom would come. Lord, we know that the people who are perpetrating, who are doing the evil, you love them, and we pray for them. We lift them up to you. We beg for mercy. We beg for mercy. We bless them. We know that you do not love sin, but you love people. And so, Lord Jesus, we pray for these people. And I pray for everyone here as well. Lord, I pray for everyone speaking here tonight that everything that would come out of anybody's mouths here tonight would be the truth. If anything else is planned to come out, that you would stop it, Jesus, that only what you have planned will come out. Only what you want. I pray that we would not do anything here tonight that grieves you, Jesus. And I don't want to forget about salvation. I'll pray for every heart here. If there's anyone here that doesn't know you, Jesus, isn't born again, that could change tonight. I pray that they would know and understand what you said in Romans 10:9, where it says that if you openly declare that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For it is by believing in your heart that you are made right with God, and it is by openly declaring your faith that you are saved. Lord Jesus, I pray that no one leaves here the same that they came here. And I pray all of these things in the name of Jesus, the name that is above every other name. Amen.
It's not pointing at you guys.
Do you guys want to take drinks closer to mine and get food? Or do you want me to bring you
It would.
a plate with a brat or a barbecue?
Yeah, there's as a libertarian, I am pro-secession, so yeah, I think the South had every right to secede. They want to pray for their event, that's on them. I think it's their freedom and liberty. So we're gonna go back in and watch the crowd, see what's going on.
How long were you in Camp Pendleton? Just for doing basic or?
Oh geez, did they let another Marine in?
What?
Did they let another Marine in here? No, I was 82nd Airborne, and all my friends are Marines. I work with a Marine. You know what it's like having to work with one?
I met him 4 years ago when he was running for Attorney General, and he had this really novel idea. He said if he was elected Attorney General of Minnesota, he was going to make crime illegal again. We've got a candidate for Attorney General in Minnesota, Ron Jude. He's here somewhere, I think. Okay. Thank you, Ron. We have another candidate for Secretary of State, Wendy Phillips. She's over there. And then we have a candidate running for our Senate District, Senate District 26, Cherie Johnson. back there. We hope they all stay around and you'll get to ask them questions as the night goes on. Now, we're going to start with our governor candidates, and we're going to give them each 5 minutes to speak. If you have questions, you'll have to do that later, because we want to get to our main speakers for the main event a little bit later. All right, first up is Chris Lindell.
Thanks so much, and welcome everybody. I really want to thank the Fillmore County Republicans for putting this together. I really appreciate it. So my name is Chris Mattel. It actually rhymes with paddle. Liz Colin always says battle. You can do whatever you want with it. So I'm actually born and raised in Waseca. My mom and my brother and my sister still live there. I have a wife, 2 daughters, 14 to 16-year-old. We live in the western suburbs of Minneapolis. My 16-year-old just started driving about 2 weeks ago. We're a little freaked out about that. My wife, a lot more freaked out than I am, frankly. I am running because we have lost for 20 years, and I feel like we're following Einstein's definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And I'm running because I feel like we're losing what it means to be Minnesotan in this state. And I feel like we have 4 major fires, and these are my 4 major priorities that I'm following. The first one is to combat fraud. Now, I'm an attorney. I've been an attorney for 33 years. I got a national reputation with respect to fraud. I've got a $186 million Racketeering, Influence, Corrupt Organizations Act judgment. I was hired by the Fiesta Bowl down in Arizona to root out fraud. People went to prison for that. I was hired by Best Buy. I found somebody on the inside that was taking bribes on that. Did 7 years. The main guy did 15 years. I know a lot about fraud. I've been endorsed by 6 former federal agents, IRS and FBI, to go after fraud. I feel like this is one of our main priorities right now. The money is a major thing, but the bigger thing to me is loss of trust that we are having in our government. You're all working your butts off in order to make money. You're paying that money into taxes, and every time that goes in and you feel like it's going to fraudsters, that erodes the rule of law. And what it makes us feel like is, why am I doing this? Why do I care about any of these politicians? And let's be honest here. We got our invocation talked about telling the truth. Be honest here, the Democrats and the Republicans have done bupkis with respect to investigating and revealing fraud here. That Leering Center, thank you, and that Leering Center has been open since 2018. All right? Does somebody have a car? Because somebody can drive by and see these things. You can see Liz Collins reporting and going to these autism centers and clearly showing that nobody is showing up at these places. It has been going on over and over and over again. So day one, we're going to investigate it. We're going to reveal it. It's going to be transparent. We're going to litigate it. We're going to prosecute it. Fraud's done. Priority 2, safer streets. I represented Trooper Ryan Londrigan with respect to this prosecution by Mary Moriarty. He was the trooper that was charged with murder, manslaughter, and first-degree felony assault. I got those charges dismissed against Mary Moriarty. I'm the reason that she's not running again, and I'm very proud of that fact. Thank you. I feel like I have made Hennepin County safer for everybody by not having that person in that position anymore. I also have the endorsement of the Minneapolis Federation of Police. They're supporting my campaign and saying, I know what cops need more than anybody with respect to that. And believe me, law enforcement right now needs help. They need support. Right now, the Hennepin County commissioners are literally deciding to order the Hennepin County sheriff to arrest ICE officers if they're on county property, which violates federal law. It violates 18 U.S.C. 111. I just talked about this on Liz's podcast. This is obstructing and impeding federal agents in the course of their duties. We need to actually do something to support law enforcement rather than just these empty promises of, I stand for law and order. I've actually stood up for cops, stood behind them, and made sure that nobody's coming after them and make sure that their jobs are going to be safe. When Ryan Londrigan got prosecuted, I started out that case by saying the open season on law enforcement is going to end, and it's going to end with this case. And it has. Nobody has done anything on this, and believe me, with respect to this ICE agent, that's the next project. So number 3, priority 3, education. Right now, like in Waseca, like every place that I've gone, our joke in Waseca was always, if you were kind of stupid, you were from Iowa. If you were really stupid, you were from Mississippi. Mississippi is ranked 9th in 4th grade literacy. We're 39th. You want to talk about gun safety, like the Democrats constantly do? You know what our rank is right now with respect to the student to school counselor ratio is among 50 states? We're 48th. Where is our money going with respect to education? We're being led by a teacher. This is pathetic. I can't believe that I'm getting to a point now where I'm saying the best thing that we can possibly do is follow Mississippi's lead. We have now passed the READ Act in 2023, which Mississippi did back in 2012. And all they're concentrating on is reading, math, and science. They're not trying to teach their kids what to think, they're trying to teach their kids how to think. And we need to get back to that. My 4th priority, cost of living and right-sizing our government. This is extremely important to me. Right now, we have Minnesotans all over the state that are actually hurting. They are making decisions between housing, childcare, food, etc. When you have taxes in that mix, especially when it's going to fraudsters, it's not right. I learned in college that the best way that I did not spend money is I didn't have any money. We need to do the same thing to our government. My proposals are to increase the standard deduction for every Minnesotan to $75,000, which will cover all Social Security. So Social Security would be tax-free at that point. Squeeze the government of that money, property tax reform. We need to have something where our seniors, 65 and over, your property taxes are frozen, so you're not rebuying your home in retirement for the rest of your life. These are easy fixes, and when people say, well, geez, how are you going to do something with that? We just had an assistant United States attorney said that there's $9 billion of fraud a year right now. You think that we can't find some money to lower taxes? We can obviously do that. I'm from the Twin Cities. I know how to speak to the middle. I know how to motivate the middle. If you are looking for a perennial candidate that's going to stick to his talking points, I'm not your guy. If you're looking for somebody that was handpicked by the establishment, I'm not your guy. If you're looking for somebody that's going to be an agent of change, that is going to go into the state government and frankly fight for you and not care what these bureaucrats say as I'm firing all of them, if you're looking for somebody that's going to move the state forward and instill hope in everybody, especially some of our law enforcement who so desperately need it right now in Minneapolis, when I'm watching the Minneapolis police chief be chased away by a man with a tuba, then I'm your candidate. I would really appreciate your support. My name's Chris Mattel. Thanks very much.
Our next speaker will be Kendall Qualls. But do you all know what it means when a politician stops speaking to look at his watch?
He's got 10 more minutes.
Kendall Qualls.
I don't know if that was a clue, but I took my watch off. So someone asked me when I came in, they said, hey, are you Kendall Qualls? I said, yes. He goes, oh, okay, well, they introduced themselves. I said, yeah, no, I'm shorter and fatter in person, so it's easy to confuse me. You know, if you haven't got a chance to meet my wife, Sheila's here with me. She joins me in a lot of these things. We've been married for going on 40 years now in May. We have 5 kids. We homeschool all those kids, and she likes to stay pre-internet. Of those 5 kids, we adopted one of them. I can't remember which one. We love them all the same. So we were in this race because we love this country. I'm not running against any of these other guys. I'm not even running against the Democrats on the other side. I'm running to save Minnesota. I can't believe what's happened to our state. I've never been an elected official, never wanted to be, until the crisis of what we've been seeing. So I got involved about 6 years ago. Initially, at that time I was working for a healthcare company, leading a startup company for cancer patients. The COVID thing hit, put everything in stall, and I started paying attention to politics and listening to Ilhan Omar, and I was shocked. I tell people, how did you get involved? They tell me, why did you get involved in politics? I said, well, Ilhan Omar, I credit her. See, I never met someone ungrateful, immigrant, ungrateful, and just so disrespectful to the country. Never met it. So I contacted the Minnesota GOP because I've been a Republican since I was 18 years old and never looked back. I contacted the state GOP. I said, hey guys, look, I'm willing to speak anywhere in the state. I'll speak in Minneapolis. I'll speak in greater Minnesota. What she's saying is dangerous. She's a federal elected official. Where's the gratitude with that attitude? So they had me meet with someone. I finally met with Tom Emmer, and he said, Kendall, we lost the 3rd district. We don't have a backup. Would you run for Congress in the 3rd district? I said, yes, I'll run against Ilhan Omar. He said, no. You don't live in her district. We lost it to Dean Phillips. I said, well, can I run against Ilhan Omar and Dean Phillips? I'm from the Army. We take ground. We don't cede ground. Okay? He said, no. Here's just one. So I ran against Dean Phillips. I didn't prevail. This was in Trump's first midterm. And you know, typically the midterm happens and the opposing side often wins the Congress. So I didn't win. And I hate losing more than I like winning. Tom Emmer came back and said, you did great. I said, what are you talking about? I lost. He said, no. You are a first-time down-ballot candidate. You got 5% more votes in the 3rd district, the metro, than President Trump. You got 4% more votes than Jason Lewis, the senatorial candidate. Your message prevailed, it just prevailed enough. That was about the first-time candidate. My friends, if we replicate that, because the issue of this race is electability. We have to win. I tell you, all of our plans all of our candidates probably overlap 90% of it. We have to win. We haven't won in the governor's race for nearly 20 years. We haven't run an AG race since 1970. I'm going to tell you, I got involved because at the end of the day, Americans don't complain. They get involved and do something when things are not working. As a 19-year-old lieutenant, I held up my hand, pledged the oath to defend the Constitution against enemies foreign and domestic. My friends, I never thought I would have to activate the domestic.
100% true, Jesse.
We have to understand what our enemies are. The Democrat Party is not the Democrat Party of our grandparents. They're not even the Democrat Party of Bill Clinton. They have been taken over by the socialists, and they're using that banner to march their agenda. So I'm going to tell you and why I think this is so important about election and what I'm going to do as a candidate.
1 minute, Kendall.
Okay, I'm going to wrap this up. I got it. What I'm going to do as a candidate, well, I'm running to get the endorsement. I'm seeking and I'm asking for your endorsement because I abided by the endorsement last time. But what's incredible is when I get that endorsement, I'm going to help us win in the Senate and the House. The Democrats only lead by 1 seat. We're tied in the House. We can get our own trifecta for the first time since 1969. We need to have a leader that has that vision. And why this is important, guys, winning the governor's seat isn't enough. That's defense. Our heels right now are on the goal line. We have no more room to go backwards, or it's all over for our state. We have to win the Senate. We have to win the House so we can advance the ball forward. It is time to go on the offense. And I'm going to tell you right now, I am sick and tired of Ron DeSantis having all the fun. It's time for some liberty, justice, and freedom in Minnesota, and I plan on bringing it. Thank you.
The views of the candidates do not necessarily represent the views of...
We're taking a moment. Jerry's trying to figure out the lights. We were afraid you couldn't see Kendall. Next, I want to introduce Mike Lindell. Mike.
Hello, everybody, and coming to this town tonight just brings back memories. I was born in Mankato, Minnesota, and I lived in a trailer court in Chaska, Minnesota, but I look forward to every summer going down to my uncle's farm down by Fairmont, Minnesota, and walking beans. And I remember my kids, I'm telling you, we used to shovel hog manure for 50 cents an hour. He looked at me and goes, why would you do that, Dad? And but I got my work ethics from being down there every summer, and my seeds of God, my faith were planted way back then. And that's the Minnesota that I grew up with. And granted, I spent a lot of time in the inner cities of Minneapolis too when I became an addict. But a few years ago, before we gave into the shutdown, the China virus, I was at the Rose Garden with the president, and it was up on stage, and if you all watched that, I said, I wasn't supposed to say that we had to have approved words, but I said, God, a nation had turned its back on God. We've taken God out of our schools. I said, we need to spend time praying for grace and getting back in our Bibles, back in the Word, and spending time with our families. And all I could think of it, because I was living that in Minnesota at that time. That's what happened to our state. And I will tell you, the first day I'm governor, you've got to bring back our faith. I will ban Sharia law. Over 20 other states have done it. You ban Sharia law. You bring back our flag the first day. And you take, there's so many, when you talk about this fraud, not only the $9 billion that was taken, sure you can, they're all going to be arrested. You're going to deport anyone that's here with an overstayed visa. But the one thing too that I'm going to do is look at these welfare programs. Okay, 8 years ago, I've been working on this for a long time to replacement for these welfare programs where people become not just dependent on it, but a lot of them are just garbage. I mean, just handouts. And I put this program together and we tested it in Detroit, Michigan, about 8 to 10 years ago. This is back before I was attacked and before went all in for Donald Trump and stuff. And when I come out of addiction, it was all philanthropy. I just wanted to help people. And so we took private sector money, and it's an amazing program. I was the government then, so I paid all the expenses. People want to help, but they want to help things they want to help. And when we tested this in Detroit, it brought those programs down 40%. So I want you all to imagine this. This isn't going to take a long time. I'm starting this on day one. You get rid of all the fraud. You got $9 billion there. Now you take these programs and you look at each one. Is it, this is bad, stupid, you're out. But let's say you set up with the private sector immediately, you put it in there. Imagine saving another 40%. These are billions of dollars with a B. You know what you do with that money? You lower our taxes. Maybe we don't even have income tax. I mean, this is all this excess money. And then you talk about these you can name other things like the inner city. Cities now, just like Minneapolis, Portland, they said the other day, somebody's walking through Portland going, it's the safest city because there's nobody in the city. Okay? And she said that. She goes, there's nobody here. This is what Minneapolis. I went into Minneapolis 2 weeks before Christmas. I used to have stores down there. They were empty. People were empty. You could throw a rock through there. I go, this is a shame. People are afraid to go downtown, and people are buying online. And I have a great way to remove our sales tax right away from small businesses and stuff. And you pay more on your online, you pay the sales tax there. You want to give people incentives to go shopping again to help small businesses. And then also to make the city safe. I have a friend of mine, and I'm not the president, we become good friends, but Rudy Giuliani, he works for me. One of the things people maybe remember him for 9/11, but he saved New York. He made it one of the safest cities in the world, went up against the biggest crimes you could imagine. And he did it. His footprint of doing this was amazing. You took away things like panhandling, beggars. You took that out and you put the police right in the middle of Times Square. And his footprint, I just talked to him the other day, he's going to help me with this. We're going to do this in Minneapolis. You have to make it safe. And there's a lot of common sense problems to solve. These protests that are going on, Let me tell you, 8 years ago, it was crazy. It was Black Lives Matter was the big thing. Then they attacked the state fair, but they shut down 35W. My employees and my products couldn't get to work. I live out, or we had the factory out in Shakopee. I'm going, what is this? You don't get, if you and I had White Lives Matter and shut down Highway 35, we'd all be arrested. You can't shut down a 10-lane highway. These protesters up there now, they had this guy they showed the other day, he couldn't get to his family. It was his block. They're blocking his street off. He got out of his car and he's pushing them out of the way, and they're going, you know, my house is over here. I can't get to my family. It was disgusting. You make it a crime to do a protest in the street. I don't care where it is. You go protest over here, you get a permit, whatever you got to do. But you just start arresting people. You can't do a crime to protest and do another crime. And you have to stop this. The common sense solutions. And if I'm your governor, or when I'm your governor, I'm very confident. When I go, and I want to tell you this, I'm still standing. I've been the most attacked company and person probably next to the president because I want secure elections in our country, and I love our country, and I love Minnesota. And I tell you, to get through, my wife and I prayed in August. That's why we came in late. And we prayed, and I said, God, if I'm supposed to run, I'll run, but I really want my pillow secure so I can put 100% into running for governor. Well, I can tell you, I'm still standing, my pillow's still standing, and you vote for me, I will stand for you, and I will never back down. Thank you.
If you need a permit to protest, then what you have is not a protest, it's permission.
Thank you, Mike.
If you need permission
Next
to protest,
up,
then you're not protesting.
We have Peggy Bennett. I think she's here. Peggy is a state rep from Albert Lee. She's just new in this race, but come on up, Peggy.
Wow, what a great group. Thank you for being here. I've actually been in St. Paul. We have caucus meetings right now with our representatives, but I wanted to be down here with you too, so here I am. So I'm Peggy Bennett. I grew up in the Twin Cities. I had a small business dad, a part-time working mom, got my first teaching job in Albert Lee, and moved there and been there ever since. I taught for 33 years, elementary school, and I loved it, and now I'm the current 6th-term state representative for that area. Never intended to do that, but here I am. I will be retiring at the end of my 12th year because I believe in term limits, and 12 years is my limit. So we have a lot of good and quality GOP candidates for governor, and I will never say a bad word about any of them. I respect them. I'm here to tell you and to stand for what I stand for and what I will do as governor. When you look at all of us and listen, basically, we all think the same thing you do. We need to lower crime. We need to get rid of fraud. We need better schools, and I could go on. So there's a lot the same, but what's different? I'd like to tell you what's different about me. First of all, I have, start over again. I'm a person of solutions. I'm a fixer. I have been for 33 years as a teacher. When I was in my classroom, I identified issues with students, whether it was reading problems, math problems, behavior problems, sometimes parent problems, and I found solutions and we fixed the problem. That's what kind of a person I am. That's why when you go to my website, it's peggybennettforgovernor.com, you will see that I'm not just having promises on that website, but it's a website of solutions. You can go to effective government, you can go to education, you can go to public safety, and you will see exactly what I'm going to do for each of those areas specifically, because I want to run on solutions, not just the problems. The second thing that's different about me is I have a personality and skills that has allowed me to just get the trust and be able to relate to many people from many different backgrounds without compromising my conservative principles. That's why I have the trust and support of well over 60% of the voters in my district, which is a mixed district. It's not just Republicans, it's independents, it's leaning Democrats. And it's not because they believe or agree with every policy or vote that I've made. What they tell me is they say, Peggy, we support you because we trust that you'll do the right thing and that you'll tell us the truth. So people say I'm nice, right, Greg Davids? My colleagues. But you know what? You can be nice and tough at the same time. I draw lines and I will not compromise on things, and I don't compromise on things that will hurt Minnesota or that will hurt the people here. And especially young people, they're near and dear to my heart. So those I call red lines, and they're a no-go for me. That's why last session I voted against the health bill, because we gave the nursing homes got a cut, but the state agency got their operating increase. That's just plain wrong. I won't support that. It's why I voted against the jobs bill. We need to get rid of the paid family medical leave program. It's going to destroy our state. It's going to destroy our small businesses, and people are going to lose their jobs. It's going to hurt people. So I voted no on that bill. I voted no on the education bill, and I'm one of the education chairs. But I'm not going to put up with things where we're adding all these expensive mandates on the schools, destroying our schools, and then it hurts our kids. And so, okay, thank you. Some of my own legislation was in that bill, and I voted against it. I draw my red lines. I don't cross those. I just want to close by saying that we lose statewide elections in Minnesota, and we know it's because of the votes in the cities and the suburbs. We've been picking candidates that can't win. The Metro people don't like all the negatives. They don't like the attacking and the blame game. They're sick of it. We need a candidate who won't compromise on the principles that they have, our conservative principles, but also one that can show that they care. And we need to get back to the basics of running this state. I've already proven I can do that within my own district with mixed people, and I'd like to bring that to the state level. You know, everybody says Amy Klobuchar gets the votes because she's a nice person. At least people think she's nice. Well, I can go toe to toe with her niceness because I'm a nice person too. But I have one better. I have the policies and the solutions, conservative policies, yours, that I know work, and I can articulate that. I'm asking for your vote because this is Minnesota, and I know I can win Minnesota. And I'll just say this. If you want to keep the status quo, I'm not your candidate. But if you vote for me, I can guarantee you there will be change. Please go to Peggy Bennett for governor, check out my solutions, check out more about me, and thank you so much for allowing me to speak.
The reason Republicans don't win in Minnesota is because they're just like the Democrats for the most part.
Next up is Phil Parrish.
All right, good evening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for having me. Well done. It's a great event. This style of event is very healthy. Lots of relationship building and communication before the event, and we get a chance to speak freely, and then you get a chance to discern for yourselves what's going on. I am Philip Parrish. I'm running for governor. The Parrish website is PARRISH, the number 4, MN.com. And if you want to pick up a pamphlet, you can grab one and get to all the social media. Check it out. How many have seen one of my funny videos? All right. Some of the conservative side of the house, they're like, Phil, you really want to have that video out there? And I'm saying, well, for your one complaint, there's like thousands of people that love it. So hang in there. All right. I was born and raised here in Minnesota. I became a teacher first. As I was getting my principal's license, I had joined the Navy Reserve. I ended up overseas on active duty, deployed after 9/11. I ended up I was enlisted first. I became an officer, accepted a direct commission. I'm a counterterrorism and foreign policy expert. I am one of the original whistleblowers of the daycare fraud here in Minnesota. So when I got back from my last set of orders and did a lot of follow the money work with some very, very well-skilled people that were trying to tell people the truth, I came back to Minnesota in 2017, and I was a whistleblower, and then decided to run for governor in 2018. Wasn't successful, but I'm proud to tell you I got done with an interview this morning with a special investigator. I am very happy to report to you that there's finally people starting to take the advice, the materials, the training, the support, the coaching from people like me. Hundreds of men and women like me are finally starting to listen. And there is hope. With only 5 minutes, where am I at?
You got 2 minutes.
2 minutes. I'm going to switch gears. You can read all about me. You can get into the policies, the 100-day plan. My job, I think, especially because I've been the first one in the race this time, and I'll be the last one out because I'm going to win. I've been on the road since April, and what I'm reporting back to you is the majority of Minnesota, we've got a big job to do, people. I'm a Republican because we are a constitutional republic, period. But we as Republicans, and our Republican values, we've got to understand that 80% of Minnesota wants nothing to do with a sticker on their head that says Republican. Plus, they want nothing to do with being a Democrat. I'm reporting back to you, truth on the road, talking to thousands of people. They don't want the label. They want somebody to talk about right versus wrong. They want somebody to talk about the truth. They want a person with a spine. People like me who've been out on the front lines since before I got home, I've been doing this for 10 years trying to tell people the truth. I haven't backed down. I've had death threats. I've nearly lost jobs. I nearly lost my career in the Navy before I retired because I just cannot tolerate what's been done to you. It breaks my heart, but it motivates me. I won't stop. I'm never going to stop. I plan on winning. I'm the only candidate that has promised to bring two of us candidates together and form an unbeatable team. Thank you. I'm Philip Parrish. We'll see you again soon.
Great speech.
Thank you, Phil. Next up is Jeff Johnson.
Good evening, Fillmore County. Thanks so much for being here tonight. I appreciate your time. My name is Jeff Johnson. A quick disclaimer, no, I'm not the 2018 Hennepin County Commissioner Jeff Johnson that ran against Tim Qualls. I'm the former city council member from St. Cloud, Minnesota. I served in the council from 2010 to 2018. A little bit about me. I actually spent my high school years in a dairy farm just outside of Winona. Anyone heard of Winona? It's down the road. Sugarloaf, Stockton Hill, all those good things there. What am I? I like to think of myself as kind of the jack of all trades, master of nothing. So I've done everything from dairy farming. I followed my dad's footsteps, became an airline pilot, also a licensed airline mechanic, airline instructor, and found myself in higher education actually teaching aviation. By the way, there is such thing as a conservative aviation professor. You're looking at it. Aviation is pretty conservative, so I can tell you that. How did I actually get propelled into the limelight, so to speak? Back in 2017, I was the lone city council member in St. Cloud, Minnesota, that put forward a refugee resettlement moratorium. St. Cloud is a refugee relocation city. The taxpayers had enough with taxation without representation. We were getting folks, you name it, from 5 countries, from Somalia to Kenya to a couple other countries that were placed directly into St. Cloud. They were going directly on public assistance. A lot of them didn't speak English. My wife is a family practice doctor, did her rounds at a hospital one day, and she said, "You're not going to believe this, Jeff, what's going on?" I said, "There's a resurgence of TB." And I said, "What? I thought TB was annihilated years ago." And she said, "It's back." So what I did is I put forward a moratorium. That's when President Trump was president the first go-around then, and I faced hurricane-force winds. I was called a racist, an Islamophobe, xenophobe. I had to look up xenophobia. I don't know what that means. It means fear of foreigners. And all I said during my moratorium is said St. Cloud and Lutheran Social Services is in violation of federal law, 8 U.S. Code 1522, that requires state and local officials to be consulted before refugees are placed for primary relocation. into cities like St. Cloud or Minneapolis and Wilmer. That was not happening. I was the only council member that voted in favor. It was so bad, ladies and gentlemen, I was wearing body armor and under police protection going to a council meeting in St. Cloud. This is not the President of the United States. I couldn't believe it. I was very worried about the safety of my family, about putting forward this moratorium. This is the interesting part. I didn't have one legislator call me in Minnesota, not one. Not one. Not one congressman, but I had the New York Times, they called me. The Orlando Sentinel, they called me. You can even read about this mess in the Australian online newspaper. That's how bad it is. Let me tell you what's going on with refugee resettlement if you're not careful. First of all, it is taxation without representation. St. Cloud, we have been transformed. Minneapolis, you've seen that. That's been transformed. Wilmer's being transformed. And this is how you take over Minnesota without firing a shot. You go to the large cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, then you go to the regional centers like St. Cloud, Wilmer, you take them over. And this is there's a phrase, it's called, you ever heard of it? Dar-el Harb. That means the abode of war. That means there's a plan to take Minneapolis and turn it into a caliphate. It's a serious war. A lot of people, they don't believe it and they don't understand what it is. So anyway, how am I doing on time? 1 minute, okay. A lot of other things. What do we need to do? Oh, fraud is absolutely out of control, isn't it? By the way, the refugee resettlement, I actually was interviewed by FAIR January 3rd or 4th, right in there. I had over 70,000 views on X in just 2 or 3 days. Finally, people are looking at me and say, gee, Jeff, you're not an Islamophobe after all. All you wanted was compliance with federal law. I said, yeah, that's all it was. A lot of things, as you know, there is so much waste. How many of you folks are not taxed enough, by the way? Say, you know, I need more taxes. I see in Brainerd, taxes are going to go up 8%. Beaver Falls, 21%. You know what? Minnesota's great generating revenue, but we have a huge spending problem. We've got to start getting this out of control. I think I'm out of time. I want to keep things moving tonight. Again, my name's Jeff Johnson. Go to votejeffjohnson.us. Check me out. Please check all the candidates out. We got some good Republicans. Thanks again for being here. Be safe and go home. God bless you.
Thank you, Jeff. Little housekeeping. This event is being held in Fillmore County, obviously, but we want to give a shout out to all the folks from Houston County that helped put this on. So, joint effort. And thank you for coming and putting up with a little confusion. Our next governor candidate is Patrick Knight.
Well, thanks, Gary, and thanks, Jerry, and thanks for the Fillmore and Houston County Republicans, and thanks for the invocation. When I was a kid growing up, my grandma taught me, seek and you shall find, ask and you shall receive, knock and shall be opened unto you, and that's something I've always kept close to me. I'm Patrick Knight, K-N-I-G-H-T, running for governor. What I thought I'd do tonight briefly is talk a little bit about myself, talk about my plan, and then talk about the vision for the state. So, about myself. I am a husband of 23 years. I'm a father of 4 kids, 2 in college, 2 still in Minnesota public schools. I'm a product of Minnesota. I grew up in Plymouth, went to Wayzata High School. I'm a Marine. I spent 20 years active duty in reserves in the Marine Corps, initially as a judge advocate, prosecutor on Okinawa. I transitioned to the infantry officer, deployed to the Middle East, and retired as a lieutenant colonel. I'm a business guy. I spent about 25 years, mostly in food manufacturing, initially at Cargill, later Synopta, and most recently, until November when I resigned, to run as, I was CEO of a 110-person food manufacturing company. I'm a Republican. I believe in faith, family, hard work, individual responsibility, personal freedom. I believe the role of government is to secure our foundational rights while creating the conditions for human flourishing while still caring for the truly vulnerable. I love God. I love my neighbor. I try to love my enemy. Wake up every morning and try to do it a little bit better. And I love Minnesota, and it's heartbreaking seeing which direction the state is going. It feels like the character of our state is being ripped away from us. And on almost every objective measure, we're going in the wrong direction. We're flatlining on the economy. Economic growth, we're bottom third of all states in GDP, wage, and job growth. Education, fewer than 50% of kids can read and do math at grade level. National surveys, we've fallen from the top 10 down to as low as 19. Crime in Minneapolis, at least for what's been reported, is still 40% higher than pre-COVID. It just feels like everything is going in the wrong direction. That's before we talk about fraud. That's before we talk about the amount of spending. And what has gotten better? Nothing. So we need to get the state back on track. We need to get back to fundamentals. And so I have a plan. 5 priorities. I call my plan, by the way, I'm rolling with this name. If you have a better idea, come talk to me. But I call it the big, beautiful, basic, boring plan. And I call it boring because it's about the fundamentals. How many played sports growing up? A lot of you. And so what happened when you got to practice and the coach said, hey, today we are going to practice the fundamentals? Well, everybody rolled their eyes and grumbled because the fundamentals are not fun. They're a lot of work. They're very tedious. Nobody likes doing them. But why do we do them? Because that's how you win. That's how you succeed. So we've got to get back to the fundamentals. So the big, beautiful, basic, boring plan first is make Minnesota affordable again. Second is drive a strong, resilient economy. Third is fix education by focusing on outcomes. And next is restore public safety and the rule of law, particularly in Minneapolis right now. And finally, let's build a smaller, smarter, more effective state government that serves all of us. And that is not going to happen overnight. And it's not enough just to win. We have got to have the courage and conviction to muscle through this and get our great state back on track so we're again the envy of all the other states.
1 minute.
So what is the vision? What's the state going to look like if we can do this? I often imagine a young couple right out of high school, they work hard, they follow the rules, they do the right things, they love their neighbor, they want to get married and be able to afford a house. And if they're blessed with children, they want to be able to afford childcare. And if they send their kids to a public school, they want to know that their kids are getting a first-class education. If they work hard, they want to know that they're going to have opportunities to advance and make more money and save for themselves and spend money on their families. That's the future that we are fighting for. And that's not something we should just hope for. We should demand it. So I'm here. I don't presume any of your support, but I do intend to earn it in the months to come. Thank you for having me, and let's get to work.
Thank you, Patrick. Next up, and our last our governor candidate is Brad Kohler.
I went last because I'm the shortest speaker. My name is Brad Kohler. I started this 5 years ago when COVID hit, and many things in my life affected me because of our politicians. I look back in the 2007, 2008 was the Barry Madoff and the real estate failure. We got scammed on. Our real estate industry went upside down. Then Tom Petter. We moved forward to COVID, and a lot of decisions poorly made as elected officials, okay? And so when COVID hit, it shut down all 3 of my businesses. Now I'm a former UFC fighter like the rest of the candidates. And I invented my own boxing equipment that I invented and I sold all over the world. I opened up 4 restaurants and 2 gyms. And when COVID hit, it was a trifecta for me. So I was frustrated. And one night I was sleeping, and I woke up and I heard a voice saying, "Run for governor." I asked my wife, I go, "Do you say something?" She said, "Shut up, I'm sleeping." So I knew it was from God. And, I've been a very spiritual man most of my life. And I've had these God moments throughout my life. I wrote about it in my book over here, and it's been great. I've had some very blessed moments. And I've never been in politics before. And so when I got into this, I really dive into what I went into. So I reached out to a lot of people, including Jim Jordan, who was a state wrestling champion with me in Ohio, now Congress in Ohio as well, and other people that I reached out to. And they said, don't run for governor, learn the ropes from the government before you get involved with something that big. So I ran for Senate, then ran for Congress, and then county commissioner. And so, last December, I decided to get in and stop everything I'm doing, all my businesses, and I dove into this 100%. Last year in January, I believe it was January last year, that this is where I started my campaign, right down here announcing that, and it was great. A little bigger crowd, but that's when I started. I've been on the road the entire year. Now, enough about me. The average Minnesota makes about $80,000 a year. A little over $21,000 of that goes to taxes. So you have to work about 4 months before you can earn $1 to support your family. Now, if you look at my website since day one, 5 years ago, I'm against taxes. 100% against taxes.
Yes.
Okay? You look at my website, I think the license plate should be under $99. Yes, what Jesse did. Okay. And property taxes. Well, you shouldn't have to pay property taxes after you own your home. Also, our employment taxes are way too high. I'd like to reduce those as well. So my goal is to, number one, take business taxes to zero. We need to incentivize businesses to come back here. Okay? Farming, corporations, small businesses, zero business taxes. And most of you probably don't know, that collect sales taxes for the state of Minnesota, you're an indirect sales tax collector. So why aren't you getting a commission on that? I will give you a 4% commission on that sales tax or kickback of the taxes you collect for the state of Minnesota for infrastructure growth, employees, whatever you need to do to fix your business up. So those are the things that need to be done to incentivize businesses to come back here. Why? Because we're losing employees. We're losing jobs. How do we pay our bills in the government? Through taxes, right? Well, that's BS. So how are we going to keep money coming back in if we don't keep raising taxes? Well, this is where I come up with my solutions. I want to open the mines up north. We have $3.5 to $4 trillion in the ground. There's gold, lithium, cobalt, copper, helium. We have all this money that we're not mining. We have 200 businesses that's going to take to sustain that. That'll bring $70 billion a year in tax revenue with the people we need to mandate that. Also, we need to drill the oil. We have so much oil in the ground. That'll bring another 30,000 jobs. So we can bring 100,000 people to work and another $100 billion in taxes to help lower our taxes and eliminate property taxes. Now, when I win governor, I do vow to bring some of these great candidates with me because they all have a lot of solutions. Except for Chris Maydall, I'm just kidding. I always make him laugh over there. He's my guy. But anyway, we need to team up and fix Minnesota, and I vow to do that because they do have some great solutions too. My website is bradkohler.com. Thanks so much. Have a blessed night.
We're hoping that all these candidates will stay around till the end so that you do get a chance to ask them questions. One thing I want to talk about before our next speaker, we have the caucus system in Minnesota, and this is an incredible turnout. But we need more people participating like this in our caucuses. Part of the reason we have so much trouble in the state of Minnesota is because too few of us have been paying attention. You folks that are working 50, 60, or more hours a week, we need your participation. The DFL has lots of part-time workers, or they can get paid while they're doing politics. We can't. So, I beg you, get involved. Fillmore County and Houston County Republicans need your help. Now, with that,
we'll move on to the next event. I want to talk about Liz Colin. Liz is the producer of the movie The Fall of Minneapolis and of the movie Minnesota, We the People. Those are documentary films. She's the author of a best-selling book, They're Lying, The Media, the Left, and the Death of George Floyd. I just went deaf, and she's got her books over there. Liz is a reporter and news anchor for Alpha News in the Twin Cities. Come on up, Liz.
Thank you, folks. Oh, good Lord, sit down. Thank you very much. That's very kind. You guys probably will not be giving me a standing ovation after you hear me speak. So it's tough to follow these speakers here tonight. I know when we organized this wasn't a candidate forum, but it was really great to hear from the candidates. I think we're all excited for the future of Minnesota. There is actually hope in the room. I can feel that, right? For a change. First, I want to thank the organizers of the event, the GOP. Thank you guys for putting this all together. Also want to recognize tonight if anyone is here that is a member of law enforcement, veteran, anybody, a first responder, could you all please stand? I really like to recognize our community heroes that are among us tonight. You are so appreciated. I know it may not feel like it in this state, but I can tell you from the bottom of my heart, you very much are. In fact, it's the reason I really began this journey now, I would say 5-6 years ago, jumping over 4 years ago now to Alpha News in order to just tell the truth. And want to bring you a little bit more of that tonight. But I can't tell you, gosh, it just warms my heart to hear from you guys. You're reading Alpha News, you're seeing our content. It's truly amazing. And that is why the truth, I think, is such a powerful thing. I think alone I've done 37 national live shots in the last 10 days. The reason I keep saying yes is because I don't want people to think that all of us are wackadoodles in Minnesota. So I want to bring some clear, consistent reporting and fact-based reporting, frankly, to the news. So I hope you're catching our hits on Newsmax and Fox, and everybody has really been great to work with, and it's really just incredible, our little team over at Alpha News being able to get the truth out, not only to Minnesotans, but it's traveling all around the country, which is great. And I just wanted to start tonight with why we do what we do over at Alpha News, and we've been reminded of this since last week with the tragic incident involving the ICE agent. And I just want to read for you just a few headlines. This is our local media, hard at work. This is Fox 9. If you have witnessed and documented ICE activity, please consider sharing videos and photos with Fox 9 as we document the federal operations in Minnesota. Requests for anonymity are respected, and please upload them here. So we are encouraging this type of behavior. We have the Star Tribune. A mobile electronic billboard calling for the arrest of ICE agent was parked Sunday evening across the street from where Ross killed Renee Good on Portland Avenue in Minneapolis. So they have a picture of this digital billboard with the officer's face on it, and this is a Star Tribune story. But wait, there's more. This is WCCO from a reporter there. This was the moment federal agents opened fire on the crowd at the Whipple Federal Building near Minneapolis tonight. A fight within the crowd prompted this, myself, and our crews to make it out safely. So this is what they're doing. They're opening fire. He fails to mention in this tweet that they were hit with some tear gas after being ordered several times to leave. But isn't that interesting how the news is phrased? And then our friends over at KSTP, the headline, Immigration Attorney Leads Constitutional Observer Training in Minneapolis. So we are touting all of these trainings to go ahead and impede ICE officers in their work across Minnesota. This is the insanity we are up against with our local media, and I'm so thankful to work with the people that I do over at Alpha News. And speaking of that, I want to give a shout out to another brave journalist in Minnesota who happens to be here tonight. This is a gal who I connected with a while ago now, but she refused. She's a newspaper reporter. I won't get her publication involved. I have a really good attorney, but I've been sued a few too many times at this point. But she reached out after saying, I really cannot stand to print the murder of George Floyd in my local newspaper. And she actually went ahead and quit as a result of standing up to that mandate. So Rose, where are you? Can you stand to be recognized? Rose is a new reporter over at Alpha News. I try not to use Rose's last name either. But she's great, so talk to her as well. I think she's kind of been drinking out of a fire hose going, oh my gosh, like there is just so much to cover. Where do we even start? But we are not alone, and we're really learning that, I think, each and every day, and I have now for years. So I want to talk a little bit about some projects we've done over at Alpha News, some things we are working on. I will say that this was organized before the candidate event, and so Chris and I have done some events together, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how we came together in very strange circumstances. So he then is going to fill in a few blanks. He's a much better speaker than me. After I talk, I apologize. I know it's not fair. The candidates all get 5 minutes. You guys can throw stuff at Chris. You're not going to want to. But I think it'll just help fill in the blanks with a little bit of the fight that we are up against. So wanted to just give a heads up on that. So let's first talk about fraud, a story that we've been covering for years now over at Alpha News, and I know Phil Parrish spoke about that as well. So many Minnesotans really have done so much to try to get this thing under control. One would think that the people who actually have the real power would really want to get this under control, but they seem to be very quiet right now, right? Which seems to say a lot. But if you actually go over to alphanews.org, right at the top, it says fraud in Minnesota on our website. And for months, we've had an actual fraud page. I'll admit it's a little bit depressing, you guys, once we compile all our stories together. But there are several hundred stories and videos there that date back 10 years covering fraud. Alpha News just marked 10 years. So for covering fraud, I thought I would just highlight a few different issues. My colleague Jenna and I recently visited some empty buildings. We had no idea Nick Shirley was out on, we were only wearing hoodies and had a, YouTube channel like he did. We really thought that, we could go viral as well. But for doing our stories or visits to the empty autism centers, we were hit with a $100,000 demand letter recently for our reporting. This is an autism center that we had surveillance video on for several weeks, and there is no sign of kids coming or going for weeks on end, in a center that received $2 million of our tax money. But yes, they would like $100,000 because we defamed their business. Again, Chris is our attorney. We're not paying them, rest assured. We also recently, for visiting another autism center, received a no trespassing order in the mail after they called the police on us. So doing this type of reporting sometimes it isn't the easiest, but usually when people are pushing for you not to cover it, you know something is going on. But we have been sued, doxxed, added to the list over at Alpha News. But lawfare is very much alive and real. It's a real thing in Minnesota, and makes our fight for the truth, I think, even more important. But sadly, we do have this population now of journalists that are really activists over at the mainstream stations, and that's certainly troublesome because obviously it has sort of brainwashed a population to believing. I mean, I spent 20 years in corporate media, but believing that this is all factual. I grew up in Worthington, Minnesota. I feel like I'm a candidate now. I have to talk about where I'm from. But yeah, I grew up in Worthington, but I was a kid always with a dream of being a television reporter, really from the time I was 5, 10 years old. It's what I always wanted to do. In fact, I grew up watching WCCO and landed what I considered was my dream job back in 2008 after traveling the country, working my way up on different in different media markets. That's how it works. You start by making, I think my first contract was $16,000 a year. It's highly glamorous, this job. But then, I thought, this is it. This is my dream station, and the station that I grew up watching. I was anchoring alongside Don Shelby, who was old even back then, which I told him quite often, which he always really enjoyed. But over my time in mainstream media, I did see that it wasn't so much about what we were telling the public anymore, but what we were not. Certainly I was aware that, I worked for what I consider more of a left-leaning station back then. I didn't really talk about politics. Politics to me, I covered Republicans, Democrats, but then when we were hiding the truth from the public, I just saw it so clearly with the George Floyd incident, where the truth I thought really would make a difference if people just knew the full story, if they saw the video, if they saw the training manual. And I saw all of these people that I really did respect want to withhold that information because they were fearful. They were fearful that there would be protests at their house. There was a few at my house. They were fearful that they would be beat in pinata effigy in their driveway, like what happened to my husband and I. But still, I felt like, if we don't tell the truth, this is what we really are tasked to do at the end of the day as journalists. I knew that I had a personal and sort of professional view into all of this, and if I didn't do this, who would? And so that's why I left WCCO. I put out the book, They're Lying, The Media, the Left, and the Death of George Floyd. You guys, this came out in October of 2022. My goal was to get the truth out about Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison back then. Nobody listened. Just so you guys know, I was trying to do my part back. I'm kidding. I was trying to do my part back then. But just to get it out before the election that last time around, but there's quite a bit about those two in that book. They're lying. They are a big part of the they. And then we went ahead after hearing that the book was giving people a bit more courage to speak out and tell their stories. And that's about a year later, we put out The Fall of Minneapolis. The Fall has been seen well more than 10 million times now, so I thank you for the people that have seen it and maybe have shared the link. We really appreciate that, and thank you for your support. I can't tell you the amount of people I've heard from, on the other side, the Democrats who say this really changed my perspective. I voted differently after watching this documentary, or, I just feel so much differently about all of this, and I just wish I was told the truth from the very beginning. So I always think that feedback and those emails really mean the most. It does mean that minds can be changed if you simply engage in these conversations and tell the truth and stick to the facts. So after the fall of Minneapolis, sadly, we had to release what I consider the tragic sequel. We lost 5 first responders in a matter of 13 months in Minnesota. People that, frankly, you should hear about on the news still to this day, but you do not. But it began with Polk County Deputy Josh Owen. He died on his 44th birthday. That happened on April 15th of 2023. Burnsville police officers Paul Elmstrad and Matthew Rudy and firefighter paramedic Adam Finseth, they were ambushed on February 18th of 2024. Minneapolis police officer Jamal Mitchell, he was shot in the middle of the street in the middle of the day by the man that he was trying to help that day on May 30th of 2024. So we really wanted to highlight just the tragic consequences of this defund the police movement and really the power that these lies can have on the public. And that was our next documentary, Minnesota versus We the People. Now at that same time, Minnesota State Trooper Ryan Lonergan had been charged with murder. His story is told in that documentary as well. And this is when I first got to know Chris Maddell. There's this guy on television basically saying, this is going to end with me. And he also told Mary Moriarty at the time to shut the hell up. So I thought, who is this guy? Right? Like, well, I've just never heard. Somebody is sticking up for cops. And I made contact with Chris, and we were really dead set at the time that we were going to tell the truth at Alpha News about what really took place. And so that's what we did. And so just between, we're reporting on the Londrigan case and just trying to get the truth out there, and the charges are dropped against him, thankfully. And we asked Chris to speak back then at our Alpha News Gala, so this was a couple of years ago now, and we were meeting, and I was picking up a jump drive from him at the time. He was doing a PowerPoint, he's a PowerPoint guy. And at the time, he happened to say, hey, if you guys ever need any legal help over at Alpha News, I'm happy to help out. I thought, oh, that's nice. We have some attorneys we work with here and there. But do you know that it was 2 days after that very conversation that we were served with our first lawsuit? So we faced a lawsuit from the second in command of the Minneapolis Police Department. Katie Blackwell is her name. And I went ahead and I called Chris and I said, do you remember that conversation we had 2 days ago, Chris? Is there any way you would be willing to help? And he said, absolutely. And he also said at the time that this lawsuit is really going to help more people be exposed to the truth. And that's exactly what happened. But part of the lawsuit, not going to lie to you, I was nervous. I've never been sued before in my 25-year career as a reporter, not something you want to have happen. And this was a Hennepin County case. Also a little scary if anybody's paying attention to the news, does the truth even matter sometimes? But the lawsuit says that this lawsuit involves the politically motivated attack on a respected member of the Minneapolis Police Department who was maliciously defamed with respect to her performance of the duties of her employment by extremists who are more interested in shaping a narrative and provoking outrage than in communicating any version of the truth. That's me, I'm an extremist, which is, I've never sounded more exciting than reading this lawsuit. I just really thought that I finally made it. But we were nervous. We knew that we had told the truth. There are 237 citations, in fact, in the book. They're lying. You still will find it, however, in the Hennepin County Library System in the conspiracy theory section, just so if anybody's looking for it there. But it is a very popular section, they tell me, so it's fine. As long as more people are exposed to it, it's good. I usually always would leave up the lawsuits to my husband. He's been sued a few times, but yeah, this was my first, and just going up against the lawfare in Hennepin County is certainly nerve-wracking. But Chris and his team, Thomas is here as well. He's an attorney with Chris, great attorney. They all went to work, and we had 50 declarations at the end of the day to give to the judge. 34 were members of law enforcement, former and current members of the Minneapolis Police Department that signed sworn declarations to say what was taking place that day. They were trained in. The maximal restraint technique is something that they were trained in. This MRT, the page that disappears the very next day after George Floyd, a lot of cops stood up and said, this is something we were trained in. I know your question is, wasn't this allowed in Derek Chauvin's trial? And that was a ruling that Judge Peter Cahill made at the time, that MRT was not allowed in Chauvin's trial. However, we go ahead and we introduce this to the judge. He has 60 days to decide. We went to court, had a sketch artist there. I always say that my hair has never looked better than that sketch. I mean, it's just really, he did me a lot of favors. Chris had really small feet, so he was really pissed about that. But not really something you want to do. I'm glad we can make jokes about now. We wait about all of it now, but we did wait all 60 days, and we got a 58-page ruling from Hennepin County Judge Edward Wall, and our dismissal was granted. But in the order, Judge Wall wrote this. He said, it is possible to interpret Blackwell's testimony, Katie Blackwell, as incomplete or misleading by omission, meaning we told the truth. I'm sorry I left out the backstory that she sued us because she said we defamed her by the the clip that we used in the fall of Minneapolis, which was her public testimony saying she did not recognize the technique that Derek Chauvin was using. So in another twist, Blackwell herself had to affirm all of the judge's findings in the order as true and accurate, and she also had to pay our attorney's fees. I think Chris gave her a bit of a discount, but she is a member of law enforcement. But I will also say, it was never really reported, besides over at Alpha News, the firm that sued us, the lawyer that his firm there, very good friends of Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and Attorney General Keith Ellison. They do not like our work at Alpha News, which we appreciate. So we were happy to get that behind us, and have a couple legal dilemmas we're facing now. But I think that the truth really is winning. I also wanted to highlight, I know that we're hopeful the federal government is here and they seem to have a bright spotlight on Minnesota at the moment. They're going to have to find something, right? So many people have known about all of this for so long. But we recently highlighted, you have this is part of Rose's story, the 5-year, it was touted as the 5-year anniversary of George Floyd's murder, right? That happened, which is still bonkers that this is how it's reported. But we still continue to follow this story all on the fallofminneapolis.com. We have a news section there. If you click on that, you can see a lot of the recent reporting. We've stayed in touch with these officers and continue to share their stories. But I just want to talk about still the wounds that are there from all of this. And I know cops in the room probably have their own stories as well. But I was at the airport, it's been a year ago now, when Alex King flew back to MSP. He is the Minneapolis police officer who was on the job for just 3 days as a full-fledged officer when he was arrested. He's the black officer that arrested George Floyd that we never heard about, right? But Alex, at the time, he was held on a $1 million bail. That's more than Jeffrey Dahmer. And he was thrown in prison for 3.5 years, surrounded by sex offenders. So his mom, Joni, who was a longtime North Minneapolis school teacher, told me at the airport, she said, "I'm really trying to think of this as a celebration, but it's really hard. Don't get me wrong, the boys and I are so happy to have him home, but the whole thing is just a tragedy. Mr. Floyd is dead, Mr. Chauvin and Mr. Tao are still in prison. Alex is coming back to a city that still has this huge boil of deceit covering it. Until all of that is exposed and acknowledged, there is just no healing happening." So Alex is 33 years old now. He is a lifelong felon, like the other officers. He's on probation for a little bit longer and trying to start his life all over again. But really the damage I think that lies do is really important to acknowledge. But I will say that I'm honestly more hopeful each and every day with who we're reaching at Alpha News. Our stories are viewed hundreds of thousands of times each and every day. Our website is seen by more people than people who are on the Star Tribune. So we have more users than the Star Tribune does. Yes? We are the top app for Minnesota news. You can check us out in the App Store if you just search for Alpha News. But we are heads and tails over anyone else in town. So you can be sure to download our app. I know we talked about more than 10 million people seeing the Fall of Minneapolis. This is the top George Floyd book on Amazon, which I think greatly pisses off George Floyd's family. There's a couple of those choices also, but I will say that this one is considered the best seller on Amazon. They will not let me put the book in a Barnes & Noble or anything along those lines, way too radical. So Amazon is a good place, or if you want to, pick up a few copies for your liberal neighbors and friends, I'm happy to provide them as well. Also on Alpha News, we have more Facebook followers now than the Star Tribune. We're gaining about 5,000 a month. Amazing. And we've gone from 20,000 followers on X to well over 100,000 in just the last few years, which is also amazing. I think we're up to 170,000 folks that have now subscribed to our YouTube channel. That's where you can check out my podcast. It's called Colin Reports. I'm a very creative writer to come up with such a title. So you just hit subscribe, and then you go ahead, and we have several videos every week that you can check out. We try to focus on people that you're not going to hear from on the local news at night. Chris actually was a recent guest speaking about all of this insanity involving the ICE-involved shooting. So with that, I want to give Chris a little bit of time to speak as well, and then I know we're going to have some questions to take. But more than anything, I'm here as a lifelong Minnesotan, essentially, to just thank you so much for your support. Keep spreading the truth. That is very important. We can't be silent anymore. Frankly, I was silent a little too long, and the only way that minds and hearts change is if we engage in conversation. And also just remember the facts are on our side. So thank you very much, you guys.
So please take this as not my political hat, because I kind of screwed up this event. I agreed to do this with Liz before I announced that I was running for governor, so I kind of screwed it all up. One of the things that I kind of talk about in these situations is it annoys me how modest Liz is all the time. And it kind of struck me as I was sitting here and kind of thinking about it with the word, and I just looked it up just to kind of make sure I knew the meaning, but the word perseverance. And it continued effort to do or achieve something despite difficulties, failure, or opposition. That not only really embodies Liz Colin, but frankly, it embodies a lot of the candidates that are my competitors here that are running for governor. When you think of the way Kendall grew up, I mean, how he has persevered. Pat, Phil, with respect to their military service, how they had, Jeff, obviously with respect to everything that he did growing up, and certainly Mike, with everything that he's gone through. It is a persistent theme that seems to happen to conservatives in Minnesota, is that they have to continually run up against difficulties. But my hat is off to, frankly, all of my competitors here for really persevering over and over and over again. And I really just want to, honestly, just thank them all for actually just showing up. So, yeah, come on. Brad, because two reasons. Number one, he could really beat me up, and he loves to mispronounce my last name. So, but I know Brad is still here if he left or whatever, but I'll beat him up next time I see him if he's not. So Liz, with respect to her book and the documentary, this, she always makes kind of short thread of what she's kind of gone through with respect to this, and leaving CCO predominantly because of who she was married to, and just kind of full stop right there. I mean, she falls in love, marries a cop, and therefore she's immediately disqualified from talking about the Minneapolis Police Department, which is just, as lawyers, I can be married to another lawyer and we can still compete against one another and have cases against one another, but as a reporter, she's benched. And one of the questions I'd ask everybody on this thing, imagine if that went the other way. Imagine if she was married to somebody at the ACLU. Could she report on the ACLU? I think everybody would say, oh my God, that's beautiful. That's fantastic that you're doing it. She goes through this, and then protesters, encouraged by politicians, come to their home.
John Topper.
They beat effigies of them in their driveway where their son lives. All this happening repeatedly over and over. And what does she do? She writes a book. She continues going on and says, hey, listen, I have to do something. I'm going to get right down to it and expose the truth. And why did she do that? She'll tell you this a million times in private, rarely in public, because nobody else was. Nobody else was doing it. And then when that book gets some traction, then she does The Fall of Minneapolis, which again, 10 million times. That's amazing in any stretch of the imagination. It has its own page of source material. You don't see it a lot because you kind of go straight to the documentary, but it says research there. Click on that sometime. You could spend a week reading the source material that they put on there. And then when just right, as The Fall of Minneapolis is reaching the end of the statute of limitations in Minnesota to sue somebody for defamation, then Katie Blackwell sues her. She's the #2 person in the Minneapolis Police Department, sues her for defamation, saying that when Liz said it seemed like she lied when she testified, I don't recognize that technique, which is that ubiquitous picture, the picture that we've all seen of Chauvin. It was Exhibit 17 in the Chauvin trial, where he has his knee on the back, frankly, in the upper shoulder, back, neck of Floyd. She said, I've never seen that before. And Liz put in the book pictures of training of that. After she got sued, I asked Liz and Bob, hey, can you introduce us to some former Minneapolis cops and see if we can ask them about what kind of training they got. This, and Thomas will talk about this as well, and we had my other partner, Jenny Robbins, that were working on this. This was exceedingly difficult for the three of us, and we actually had a support group kind of going through this when we're talking to these cops about what they all went through as a result of the Floyd riots, and about how people lied about them, and about everything that they faced. I spoke with one cop that was shot with an arrow in the knee that was dipped in feces. He got sepsis while standing at a funeral for another older Minneapolis police cop. Went straight to the hospital, he almost lost his leg. When we'd ask these men and women, was this trained? First of all, if I just cold called them as a lawyer, there's no way they're going to talk to me. Liz, Colin, and Bob Kroll, said, hey, you can talk to these people. Then they're opening up to all of us. And then they're telling us it was absolutely trained. And then we would start talking to them and saying, well, do you have any evidence of, yeah, I got pictures. Do you want pictures? We presented numerous pictures of numerous cops of all races doing the exact same restraint that you saw Chauvin do. The exact same one. 34 of them. 14 of them said that Katie Blackwell perjured herself during that trial. The other reason that the first 20 didn't say that is that when we got way into these declarations, they started saying, you need to say this. I need to say this in here. We even had one current cop that did a declaration, and the only reason that he did it is that he was about to retire. I could have gotten a lot more current cops to do declarations. You know why he didn't? Because of her. She didn't want anybody, she knew the retaliation that they were going to feel if they did a declaration. Which again, you can't overestimate the amount of personal pain that a journalist feels when being called defamatory. They take that about as seriously as a heart attack. This goes to their core. The idea that they would lie in order to sell a book or to make people watch a documentary. She again underplayed the ruling that she did. This was a judge that was appointed by Governor Dayton. And frankly, I'll tell you, one of the smartest judges in Hennepin County. His name is Judge Edward Wall. He's getting close to retirement right now, which is frankly kind of bumming me out because he's a phenomenal judge. But he looked at all of this evidence. He wrote in there that not only the book, but the documentary were both substantially true. So, yes, exactly. So, the imprimatur of all this work, in the face of all this criticism, in the face of personal attacks, in the face of people coming to her home where her child lives, she won with with a Democrat judge saying that everything that she wrote was substantially true in that book and everything was substantially true in that documentary. That's the character of Liz Colin. And again, the modesty annoys me. You know, it'd be nice every once in a while if she just took like one victory lap, but she just never does that. But so that was just my point. And again, I just want to thank Mike, Pat, and Kendall, everybody, you know, for Pat and everybody for coming tonight. And I really appreciate all your perseverance and all your hard work. So thanks so much.
Should we do some questions? Is that?
Yeah. So if you have questions for Liz, I'm going to switch microphone. You use this one. And if you've got a question, come to the microphone that I'm holding.
And I would prefer no more praise. I'm uncomfortable, so thank you. Chris, he also acts as our PR firm at Alpha News in addition to our legal counsel. So thank you.
I believe you indicated that you don't feel the George Floyd case was a murder. I was just wondering if you could give us a little information as to why you didn't feel it was a murder. Is it because it was trained, or does it meet the legal definition of murder?
It's a good question. I might need my attorney up here also for these. Well, I would just say that this kind of goes to the media manipulation of things and why we were not told the full story about what took place. The fact that the page of the manual disappears the very next day, and also, you know, it's not actually even allowed to be introduced in trial. But I will say that you had Hennepin County prosecutors actually asking off the case because they said in the early stages, it's actually interesting hearing the similarities between what's happening now, but they said that they were not comfortable going ahead with murder charges against Derek Chauvin and not comfortable with charging the other 3 officers at all. That ethically they didn't feel there was enough there to support that. So these were prosecutors who'd been with Hennepin County for a very long time. This is when Governor Qualls inserts himself in the case, and he gives the case to Attorney General Keith Ellison at the time, and that is when the murder charge is leveled against Derek Chauvin. So that's just a little bit more background. It's kind of just a, you know, I don't think that the truth was ever really told about what was taking place in those very early days, that so many prosecutors didn't even want to level that charge against Chauvin. I also wanted to bring an update now, and you'll find this on the fallofminneapolis.com, but Derek does have a couple different appeals ongoing at this time, and all of the declarations that were made in our case have been attached to his appeal as well. So these officers coming forward, you know, I think have certainly helped his case moving forward. Yes.
I was just wondering if you or anybody else has followed up on the career trajectories of all these people involved in this cover-up and this crime.
Everybody gets a raise or a promotion. Yes. Everybody's promoted.
Well,
yeah.
Qualls wants the city burn and he gets vice president. And there's a trend with everybody involved in this, isn't there? Has there been any follow-up stories on any?
There's actually a couple clips in the fall of Minneapolis about just that. Some of the attorneys involved or judges, exactly with Governor Qualls. I will say, actually, there were so many stories I was aware of in my time at WCCO, and I've talked about this before, of certain things about Qualls that we knew, but we would not report. And so when I jumped over to Alpha News, I immediately started doing those stories because I just thought, like, you know, people would really like to know this about our governor. And they were ignored by the Minnesota media. However, when Qualls got on the national stage, they found our old stories, because here's the thing, Alpha News, you can struggle to find it even on Google. You know, it's difficult to find our news for a reason. I think that's getting a lot better now. X has certainly helped with Elon Musk buying that. But the national media found our reporting, and they went back to do these stories that we did several years prior, then forcing the Minnesota media to acknowledge them. And how the mighty have fallen with Qualls, right? Perhaps a lot of this has finally caught up with him. We shall see. Rose, do you have a question?
Yes, and a couple comments. So you can close your ears, but I just want to say my first 2 months have been insane. I don't know how she does it, if she just is hopped up on Jolly Ranchers and Diet Coke, but she's a force. And Alpha News turned 10 years old this year, so I'm happy to be joining something that is well established now. Our CEO asked us for an early Christmas present. He would like us to surpass the Star Tribune on Christmas Eve. He texted all of us that we did. Last week, President Trump gave a shout out to Alpha News and Nick Shirley, just those two journalist capacities. And a couple things from this week. Trump and Vance retweeted our stuff, and Liz was at a fraud roundtable with Scott Bessent. And if you haven't watched that video about fraud and the feds coming in and where everything is at, it's phenomenal.
Thank you, Rose. That was very nice.
I know you're right.
Also the PR person. Thank you, Rose. That is actually a great roundtable to watch. You'll find that on our YouTube channel. It's about an hour long. But it was really eye-opening. I was a part of it and actually interviewed several people that were a part of that roundtable before, but there is some really shocking information that is still yet to come to light. Speaking of, Nick Shirley has another video, by the way, tomorrow morning being released at 10 a.m. So that is coming, and David, who I think is a Minnesota hero, he said that it's 10 times worse than the last one. So that's a teaser, I guess. Well, do we want to do more questions? Or if not, here's the thing. We are here to answer questions, to sell books. You guys are probably looking to stand up at this point after so many candidates. But again, thank you so much. God bless all of you. God bless Minnesota.
Thank you, Liz. A couple of quick notes before we turn you loose on the candidates. As usual, we're always looking for money. Now,
here we'll do.
There's a thing called the political contribution refund.
And this is a legitimate
Each
question,
couple
so it's not a setup.
Some woman's waving in the back, so she can tell you more about it.
Yeah.
But if you donate $75 per person or $150 per couple to either Fillmore County Republicans or Houston County Republicans, we give you a receipt and paperwork. You can send that into the state of Minnesota and you'll get your full $150 back. So if you'd like to support us, thank you. Beyond that, check out FillmoreCountyRepublicans.org and Fillmore County Republicans on Facebook. Ask a Houston County if you want to know how to connect with them on social media, either Kate or Corey back there. Now, most of the governor candidates are still here, and Liz is agreed to stay. So go ahead, ask questions, and thank you all for coming tonight. God bless you.
This will be really quick, and it's a legitimate question. So Liz, thank you for doing this. I know you're tired, so I'll keep this short. But when news broke that you guys had the video from the cell phone footage, everybody in my audience was asking, how in the world did they get the cell phone video so fast? Because this was supposed to be locked down. Not asking you to reveal a source unless it's official, and you can.
Yeah,
but did that come directly?
There's a line all of a sudden. No, I can just basically report what we did, that it came from sources. We have good sources because we do report the truth.
Absolutely.
So that's how we obtained it, yes.
All right, that's all I needed. So yeah, that's like everybody's asking, like, how do you?
I was getting the story.
Thank you. So, I'm going to end this here. It's been going for 2 hours and 43 minutes. I've got a 45-minute drive home. I'm normally in bed by 8:30, 9 o'clock. So I'm gonna probably keep it going as I'm exiting. See if anybody wants to talk. As you'll see here in just a second that Liz is going to be very popular tonight, and I had a chance to talk to her off camera. So, very strange event for a Libertarian to show up to a Republican event, but I'm here by the invite of the Fillmore County Republicans and the Houston County Republicans and Winona County Republicans. Kind of had a thing going on where they got together to stage this. And so, I think it's important that Libertarians especially, right-leaning Libertarians, even people who, like me, who are all about law enforcement reform, law enforcement accountability, we need to be coming to events like this. We need to be getting involved. We need to be asking questions. And we need to be finding, where we do have some common ground and uniting with people that we agree with on some issues. And you're never going to find purity politically. I think that's one of the greatest weaknesses of philosophical libertarians. A lot of libertarians think, "Oh, I've got a lock on what pure libertarianism is," and do not compromise on your values. But if you can find an ally, if you can find an individual who you can link arms with, then the best thing for you to do is link arms with that person in a particular fight. That doesn't mean you're going to agree with them on everything. That doesn't mean that you are going to join them in a crusade to end the use of marijuana in Minnesota. But if you could find a Republican candidate who is going to help us stop all these endless wars we've been fighting, then we should. And the more you talk to Republicans in Minnesota especially, they're tired of seeing our boys and girls sent off overseas to die. They're tired of it. As a veteran, I'm tired. I am absolutely tired of seeing our boys and girls murdered in foreign countries to expand the American machine. And it's time for us to stop taking over other countries. We're on the verge of bombing Iran. We caused the destabilization in Iran in the 1950s. Find Republicans that agree with you on that. Because there are a lot of Republicans that do agree with you on that. There are Republicans. Tom Gallagher, Twin Cities, is a proponent of the use of decriminalized cannabis. There are a lot of Republicans that are over the war on drugs. They're just done. They're tired of it. They don't want to do it anymore. So I think that's a powerful ally to have. So, like I said, I'm gonna do the stream as I'm walking out, and see if anybody's stopping. See if anybody wants to talk. I'm sure they won't. I'm ready to.
I was looking over here. I'm going, where'd TC go? There he was behind me. Hey, good to see you.
Well, it's nice to hear that once in a while.
No, I mean it.
So,
everything going all right?
Yeah, we still got people watching.
Yeah.
So, had a big stream. I don't even know what the numbers are like right now, but people are still watching. They're listening to me do my closing thoughts. I was getting ready to walk out.
Oh.
So, if you want to put a bug in his ear and tell him to follow up, I'm more than happy to have him on the show. Like I don't do endorsements per se, but I will give people a voice. And and it comes recommended from you, so certainly I'll listen to what he has to say.
One thing I wanted to tell you. We got together and we talked the first time about the COVID stuff and the Emergency Medical Health Act. And I told everybody, I had a lot to do with that. I went back and looked at it.
I remember that.
I didn't have anything to do
with that one.
With that one. And I've had to apologize. Well, I'm glad I didn't have anything to do with it, but I've been telling people for years that,
you got to look at it. I helped write that one.
Yeah.
Well, at least you're on the record now, having corrected that. So I appreciate it, dude. So I really appreciate you reaching out to talk about. I'm sure there are probably places. I talked to Liz for a minute, and I'm sure there are places where Chris and I would disagree. I think there's a definite need in Minnesota and even across the country. There needs to be a massive amount of law enforcement reform.
Yeah.
Because I've seen the dirty side of it.
Yeah.
And
right.
And there's so much more to what a good cop should be versus how most people define what a good cop is.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make me an enemy of the cops. It just means I recognize the need for an incredibly stringent amount of accountability within.
Of what? I'm sorry.
A very stringent amount of accountability in law enforcement because of the amount of power and authority that they do have.
Well, that's not a bad point, yeah. It's probably supposed to be that way. And I worked with the cops for 36 years at Hennepin Medical Center, and it's a lot better than it used to be. When I started in 1980, it was out of control.
Yeah, it was a different beast then.
Yeah, it was.
But there's something, and I think part of it is for me that we have militarized law enforcement to a degree that I think is detrimental to them and to us as people. Sadly, it's just when it goes bad for we the people, not really as bad for them. It's like I've, Liz was talking about Chauvin. I never saw the issue in that case as, I can't say never, I'm sure my initial gut reaction when I watched it was this is a bad look, this does not look good for the cops. But it was less down the road, the more I watched and reviewed, it was less about whether or not Derek Chauvin intentionally murdered George. There was, to me, what I had in training, I'm looking at that going, why aren't you recognizing this guy's in trouble and why aren't you doing something about it? And to me, that's the neglect in the situation.
I used to train cops. Mm-hmm. I talked to my medical director right after this happened, and I said, he forgot his training. And he goes, bingo.
Yeah, and that's I was asked to write a guest essay, so I told you about Substack. I write Substack
right.
now. And a friend of mine who has a really big show called Disaffected asked me to write a guest piece for his Substack about the duty of the ICE agent from last week. Everybody thinks it's a really cut and dried case that, and look at how they're treating the woman. Oh, she had her pronouns in her profile. What's that got to do with it? Oh, her partner abused her kids.
That has nothing
What's that got to do with it? And I'm like, why are we bringing that up? But that's how they're justifying this. They're literally making it a left versus right issue, and it wasn't a left versus right issue. The issue were the actions of the ICE agents in Kohler, as well as the ICE agent who shot, were they in keeping with standards for law enforcement across the board, not just for ICE agents, but according to Graham's V. O'Connor, the Graham standards, according to other court cases, what were the duties? And it's the exact same thing. They wouldn't even let a surgeon on scene approach the car. Now, you may say, well, she's dead. You don't know that because no one's gone to the car. And that's where I'm saying there's so much more to this than just, oh, she was an activist. She was doing some stupid stuff. Yeah, she did some really stupid stuff, but I've done a lot of stupid stuff.
Yeah, and nobody killed you for it.
They tried.
You're asking the right questions. In my opinion, you're asking the right questions.
But yeah, tell Chris. I would love to have him on if he wants to make time on a weekend sometime, like Saturday or Sunday. I can be relatively flexible. But I go to bed now. Like, I took work off today to be here today, and I took work off tomorrow because I know by the time I drive home and decompress.
Yeah.
And I think I told you this when we first talked. I'm an introvert, so events like this are very hard for me. So so I'm going to be tired, but I'm going to also need to decompress.
Yeah.
And so I took work off today and tomorrow to be able to do this because they asked me to come down here.
Yeah.
And the Republicans asked me to come down here, and they know my position on that. So it was really good to see you face
Good to
face.
see you.
Yeah, you know.
Very good. I'll talk to Chris.
I don't know how much. I mean, are you a part of the campaign team then?
Yeah.
So I mean, more than happy to have him on, and I've told everyone that I talked to that offer isn't just for you; it's for all.
Yeah,
of them.
right.
Now it's up to them.
Yeah.
You know, and I really appreciated what you said. That I'm going to paraphrase you because I'm kind of like Liz. I don't like.
Yeah.
You said I have a voice and a platform that people pay attention to, and it's nice to hear that once in a while because it doesn't always feel that way. So, especially after I lost a career. So.
All right.
You take care of yourself.
See you later.
Let's see. Hey, Jason. Can I talk to you just a second? No, I'm not. No, I'm not trying to don't interview the newspaper guy. I was asked to write an opinion piece for a friend on Substack, and I was wondering, once I write it for him and after he's looked at it, I'm going to give him first access to it, but it's about the events up in Minneapolis last week as regards not whether or not, I don't want to say what the duties of ICE were in that moment as law enforcement officers. Would you be interested in seeing it when I'm done with it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just like, I haven't thought about it for a while, and then I saw you, and you look like you've been hitting the trail.
Why?
Well,
Did you run? Did you do the turkey day run?
I didn't, but I've seen you out a few times and about. I started losing weight 6 years ago. I was 300 pounds. And so I do 9 to 10 miles a day, every day, without fail.
Hey.
So
no, I mostly, every day I lift and then run 3 miles. That's the plan every single morning. I get up about 4 or 5 in the morning, and then I do that before I go to work. I was about 172, which is a little more than I want. Necessarily, so I play soccer too, which is rough on the knees.
Oh yeah.
And so I I got sick in October. I lost 17 pounds in 12 days. I got some systemic virus, they said. They didn't even know what it was. So I lost all this weight. And so I went from 172 to 155. And then
not in a good way.
No, quickly and bad. I was on IVs a couple times. It was, on prednisone to get me back up to going again. But anyways, now I'm about 164. And I'm good there because my wife and I, we play pickleball a lot. We play as often as we can. I'll play soccer in Rochester if I can. Get up there. My time permits.
Yeah, I got down to 163 to a month and a half ago, and I hadn't been that light since I got out of the military. And that was 3 years ago.
So what do you do like for a living then?
I work in a warehouse.
Where at?
Rochester. Yeah, went from near a 13-year career in the law enforcement world to losing my career because I started a podcast talking about COVID.
Really? So
I'm not even exaggerating. That's
where
exactly.
were you in law enforcement?
Homestead. So I worked for the sheriff's office. I was a deputy, but I was in separate detention center.
So why were you who put pressure on?
The first bit of pressure came from the mayor of Rochester.
Is it North?
Yeah. I did a short little stream on Facebook the morning following the first night of the riots in Rochester, attempted riots in Rochester. And Norton had said, it's time for people, minorities, and people of color to finally feel safe in the hands of law enforcement in Rochester again. And as critical as I I'm very critical of the law enforcement career field as a whole. I think there needs to be a lot more accountability than there is in law enforcement these days. I still felt like that was an incredibly irresponsible statement, and I said, Mayor Norton, you got to be careful with your words. People hear these things and they respond. That night, I got to work and I got pulled aside by the chief deputy and told that people were watching me and I had better watch myself. And I asked for clarification about what he was saying, and it took him 2 weeks to even respond to my request for clarification by telling me, I'll talk to you when you're back on days. And he never did talk to me. And then a year later, after I started covering stories like the story of Lisa Hansen over in Albert Lee, who ended up going to jail for keeping her business open and stuff. I broke.
Was that Albert Lee or Austin?
Albert Lee. I broke her story. I helped her story go nationwide.
Yeah. What was the name of that restaurant?
The Interchange.
Okay. Yeah,
And
no, I remember that. Actually, so my wife's cousin, Brandon Ryder, kept his fitness center open in Plainview.
Oh, yeah.
So and Brandon would call me with asking for advice on things because he was getting, so what happened was he served in two tours in Afghanistan. He said, I'm going to space out the treadmills, do everything I can to keep the fitness center. And here's the thing. If you feel comfortable to come and do something, that's your choice. And
it's that whole freedom of assembly thing.
Yeah, if you choose not to go because then that's your choice. So, but they slapped him with Keith Ellison.
Yeah.
Sent the police chief of Plainview, who Brandon knows because Brandon grew up there, and the police chief showed up and he said, I don't agree with this.
But
I've been told that I'm supposed to shut you down. It's a $25,000 fine if you. He ended up selling it to another lady, Tanya Stevens, and I know Tanya. Tanya and I went to high school together. She's older than I am. But I think he still ended up paying $5,000.
I ended up interviewing Jody from the Beaver Bottoms and
Jody Weiser.
Yeah. I interviewed her. She was one of my first really big shows. It was big, it was huge.
It was.
But it was all over me talking about hey, and I never once get this. The entire time, I never once said I'm a deputy in Olmsted County. I never once represented myself as a representative of law enforcement. I never said where I worked. And the city attorney in Albert Lee, Kelly Don Martinez, and the chief of police turned me into the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension for my content, and called the FBI.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and instead of saying he hasn't violated any policy or procedures and he hasn't broken any laws, the sheriff turned on me and tried to drum me out. Put me under investigation for 60 days, internal investigation for 60 days, hired an attorney out of the cities to dig up stuff on me. And it was they ended up offering me a settlement at the end, but I knew I was never going back. How do you go back to work for somebody like that? So it was nice to actually talk to you.
You should be working.
It'd be interesting. My views aren't quite in keeping 100% lockstep with where Alpha is on stuff right now. So
hey, how you doing?
So Jake, I'll try and send that to you. Josh may want me to change it a little bit so it doesn't interfere with his audience and his traffic, but thanks. Yeah. Say hi, Rose. Say hi. So we're going to do this. She was supposed to do the show. She was supposed to do the show instead of. Yeah, because Kate told me she's the talker, and so Kate had to fill in because she decided she didn't want to talk because I'm mean. I can't believe it. Kate told her I was mean, and it scared her.
Oh, come on.
So, but I'm going to get her on.
He's mean in the right way.
It's hard to talk.
Oh gosh, no! It's just like no. You'd be surprised. Kate thought it was going to be terrible, and she's like, that was just like talking. I'm like, yeah.
It was great. I watched it and I was like, oh.
Even the part where Gerald and I went back and forth a little bit wasn't even bad. So it was nice.
We know how that works. We do kind of like a live stream show on Saturday.
I pressed the
people always
button.
come on and they're like,
He's the talker.
okay, so how's this work? Like, do I have to have things memorized and stuff? It's like, just talk.
I do.
It comes out.
I shouldn't say I didn't mean to interrupt because clearly I did. Because I interrupted.
We were getting deep in problems that happened 2 years ago.
But
Which is newsworthy, and the news was haunting me for it.
I've been doing my show by myself for over 5 years. I do it all. But I push all the buttons. I do all the scheduling. I do all the processing, all the editing. So I set up the live streams. I, help, do the dictation. Because I'm like a terrible person, but I don't I use AI to create my thumbnails because I just don't have enough time. I just don't have enough time. But other than that, I don't do anything with AI. And I write for my Substack on top of all of that. So a lot involved.
Well, then the AI does it.
Come on. Oh, but I do so. Rose, you have my card.
I got your card. Thank you, Todd. Thank you. Yes.
Thanks for introducing yourself.
Yeah, of course.
Phenomenal job next week.
Did Kate? Is Kate in the kitchen? Oh, just tell her. No. Just tell her I said thank you and TC. Todd, yeah, she'll know.
Tell your mom you got like $2.
You're from. I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you for everything that you did to help us promote it. We really appreciate it. So
Are
did you feel like you found any common ground here tonight? You would
I
share?
No, I find common ground with every candidate. It's just it's getting candidates to stick to things. So.
Well, I think there's
And I don't mean that in a it's any candidate, Libertarian candidate, Republican candidates, Democrat candidates. A lot of them know what to say, but they don't always know.
Well, between me and you, out of everybody that's running, just my personal, where I kind of feel like I stand, is I stand behind people more like Mike Lindell and Chris Maydell.
Yeah.
That you can kind of, like I said, I've said it before, you want to vote for the people that really have skin in the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
When they've gone after everything about you, they're afraid of you.
Oh, I can resonate. I resonate with guys like, especially after what I've lost.
I'm sure you do.
It's like everybody's like, oh, Mike's lost. Like, you wouldn't know what it's like. And I'm like,
You don't know.
You have no idea because you just tuned into my channel or 2 years ago. You don't know what I fought.
No, I remember. God, what was that? About 4 years ago, the whole burning. I remember that.
Yeah. Oh boy, was that.
Yeah.
I didn't know you saw that.
I've been watching some of your stuff for a while. So.
No, I really appreciate it.
I think ever since you came into that Convention of States thing, you gave me your information, and I pay attention to people who do stuff like that. So I do appreciate it. And I listened to most of what you sent me the other day.
Which one was that?
They were talking about Trump and Venezuela.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The one with Jorge. Or not Jorge. We joked about his name being Jorge. Yeah.
Mhm.
Are you from Adam's actual campaign?
Yes,
or you...
I'm the political director.
I'm TC.
I just wanted to say,
Nice to meet you.
before you
Yeah,
leave,
thank
hey,
you,
I'm going to
Kate,
go put this thing up.
I talk to Adam on a pretty regular basis. So
Awesome.
And you are?
Logan.
Logan?
Logan Peterson.
All right, well, I'll give you my card, and you can tell Adam that we met. So I actually just texted him today. So.
Here's mine.
Yeah, I was like, I said, hey, I'll see you next Tuesday. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, yeah, you're set up to be in an event. You were supposed to be at the event on Tuesday in Mabel. And he goes, what?
Yeah, so that was a miscommunication.
Oh no, I totally got that, but I was like, I'm so glad that he and I were talking about the ICE issue because of a post, and I had said something and asked a question, and he texted me. It was like 11:15 that night. He and Javier must have finished his event. He's like 11:50. I'm in bed, I wake up in the morning. It's like Adam says, like, call me, bro. So yeah, I never.
I appreciate it.
It was nice. It was nice to meet you.
Yeah, it was really nice to meet you as well.
Well, I'm going to go outside and finish off in the cold air.
Oh yeah.
Okay. That was really cool.
Way past my bedtime.
Are you driving back tonight?
Oh, I live in Spring Valley, so
It's not too bad.
yeah, it's only 45 minutes. So, all right, guys, I am finishing up for the night. I do not want to make this drive home. I should have been in bed a while ago. So, thanks for tuning in. I have no idea how many people watched. I really appreciate everybody hitting that thumbs up. If you're coming back to watch us on a replay, hit a super chat, super thank you. Promote this. Find common ground with people. And don't assume that just because somebody's in another party that you can't find something. Kate asked a really good question. What common ground can you find? And I think that's huge. Doesn't mean you compromise your values, but you stay on top of it and stay who you are. Until next time, Sic Semper Tyrannis.